You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
Well, good evening. Welcome to Outside the Box here on Sunday night. CriticalMassRadio.co.uk. So there. Anyway, yeah, it's wow, been an interesting couple of days, huh? Got like that solstice action going on last night, and wow, where do I begin? All right, well, yeah, this is a good one. I love this one. Where was it? From The Witness. I love this. Hope Kate's fired up tonight. Understatement. Yeah, well, we're going to start with an essay. And I'm going to start handing back all this fucking garbage that people keep wanting to throw in my universe. Does the term Atlantean meat stick mean anything to you? Or how about spiritually ensnared due to their own fucking morbidity, immorality, and idiocy? That kind of works. Yeah. Hi, Kate. I'm awakened. I'm going to play a physical game, though. Oh, okay. Go back to sleep. Been there, done that. Gave the flannels back. Thanks. Anyway, I'm gonna start off with. I gotta. I'm gonna start with an essay here, okay, guys? Because I was actually having a hard time reeling it in when I was finishing this essay off. I read it good part of it last night. So I added a few more paragraphs to it just to kind of wrap it up to give people the concept, and maybe at some point people will actually wake up to see what's going on. Because there's a lot of us out here doing a lot of work, diligent, staying the course. I got to tell you, there's probably a lot of better things to do with one's life than this every day, but this is a job that needs to be done. I don't know about you guys, but I used to hate sitting knowing there were dishes to be done, because every minute that went past, the more dishes piled up in your mind. It just got harder and harder to do. And that's exactly what's going on here. And the longer you wait to start making moves at all, the harder it's going to be, or it's gonna have the illusion of being harder. And there's nothing I can do about that. That's your call. And hopefully the ending of this essay might be a little bit of a, fire under your asses kind of thing. And one of the joys of sitting at this table is I know I'm talking to so many people that do get it and are making the efforts and are doing the baby steps and are changing this planet on a grand scale. And for that, I am truly and eternally grateful. Thank you for doing what you came to do. We came here under contract, and it's not some mythical fucking intergalactic drama contract. It's anyway, I'll get into that shit after I finish this, okay? Because I'm just getting tired of hearing the same drivel from people that, quite frankly, ought to fucking know better, So at that point, I'm going to start questioning. Oh, what's your real intent? What game are you playing? Are you coming across as legitimate? Or are you another one of these false deceivers that likes to walk around and convince everybody that you're all rainbows and butterflies, and meanwhile you got a pair of horns and a fucking pitchfork sitting there? But anyway, that's just my feeling on it. Yeah, here we go. The Midas touch by yours truly. Oh, and for anyone new that comes to this table, we deal up truth on a hardcore basis, and I always give out this warning. Well, not always, but I'm always mindful on occasion to bring it up. What you're going to learn at this table, between myself and countless others who come in, and fully awakened beings that come in and start handing out real truth with real responsibility. Here's the thing. Any of the concepts that you click on herein and hereafter, you are fully obligated by the universe, to the universe, for the universe, to stand in those or deny them accordingly. And I will tell you this. Do not deny the truth. So here's your warning. If you can't handle the truth, you don't think you can stomach actually being all grown up and everything, take your diapers off, cut the mitten string, and actually you go to the bathroom without needing to ask for permission from somebody, hang out here. Or not. So there's your warning. Because what we're going to be sharing here is a lot of obligation, and it's only for grown-ups. So if you're the kid that likes to bitch and whine, victim mentality, and all the rest of it, I would urge you to simply fuck off and go somewhere else that will pander to your very mature status as a spiritual being, while we are all here trying to, grow up a little bit. Actually, a lot, but here we go. The Midas touch. That was the other thing, too. I don't pull any punches at this table. I don't hold back, and I don't really give a rat's ass what people say or do here. You bring the truth to this table, we'll sort through it. And if you bring garbage, well, don't worry, we'll throw you out with it. It's all good. This is not a table to be messed with. This is a universe-changing table, so welcome. For those that understand what a contract really is, the concepts that follow will be easy to spot and the relevancy therein. It is not always an easy task to remove people from their literal reality brain traps for them to see far beyond a well-programmed veil. I will share one version of the King Midas mythology and then have a look at its multiplicity. Midas. Mythological possessor of the Midas touch, the power to transmute whatever he touched into gold. Midas was a king of Phrygia, a region nowadays part of Turkey. One day, some of his farmhands brought him a satyr that they had caught napping in the vineyard. This creature, part man, part goat, still groggy and much the worse for wear, had been thoroughly trussed up to keep him from escaping. Midas immediately recognized Silenus, right-hand satyr to the god Dionysus, and ordered him set free. Silenus explained that he and his master had just returned from the east, where they had been engaged in spreading the cultivation of the grape. Dionysus had brought back a tiger or two, an ever-expanding flock of followers, and one very drunken satyr. Silenus had conked out in Midas' vineyard to sleep it off. Now he was grateful to the king for treating him with dignity, and so was Dionysus. The god was so pleased, in fact, that he offered to grant whatever Midas should wish for. Now, you didn't get to rule a kingdom in those days without a pretty active grasp of what makes for a successful economy. Midas didn't have to think twice. As the simplest plan for the constant replenishment of the royal treasury, he asked that everything he touched be turned to gold. Arching a godly eyebrow, Dionysus went so far as to ask if Midas were sure. To which the king instantly replied, "Sure, I'm sure." So Dionysus waved his pine branch scepter and conferred the boon. And Midas rushed back home to try it out. Tentatively at first, he laid a trembling fingertip upon a bowl of fruit, and then a stool, and then a woolly lambkin. And when each of these had been transmuted in a trice into purest gold, the king began to caper like the lambkin before its transformation. "Just look at this," he crowed, turning his chariot into a glittering mass of priceless, though worthless, transportation. "Look what Daddy can do," he cried, taking his young daughter by the hand to lead her into the garden for a lesson in making dewy nature gleam with a monotonous but more valuable sheen. Encountering unexpected resistance, he swung about to see why his daughter was being such a slug, whereupon his eyes encountered, where late his child had been, a life-size golden statue that might have been entitled, "Innocence Surprised." "Uh-oh," said Midas, and from that point on, the uh-ohs multiplied. He couldn't touch any useful object without it losing in utility what it gained in monetary value, nor any food without it shedding all nutritional potency on its leaden way down his gullet. In short, Midas came to understand why Dionysus had looked askance when asked to grant the favor. Fortunately, the god was a good sport about it. He allowed Midas to wash away his magic touch in the river Pactolus, which ever after enjoyed renown for its shimmering deposits of gold. Beyond the obvious, be careful and very mindful what you wish for. There are other hidden gems that can be contained fractally within as well, specifically in the phonics hints. There is a far bigger picture being painted here, where people constantly get caught up in the actors and dramas that surround any given story, and fail to expand or contract everything as it applies to all of perceived creation. That's what a fractal is. Can you see the bigger and smaller story? The entire program of the Whore of Babylon is contained in this story, as is the trap and destruction of that trap. It is our very touch that has us constantly in contracts here with our thoughts, be they wise or ignorant, being empowered and thus made manifest. At first, Midas was already well engulfed in the illusion of external value, which predicated his encounter with the external God that granted his wish. That external God is only the mirror of the true power that Midas had within, albeit he was ignorant of that fact amidst countless others. In short, Midas was owned by his greed, and in turn his physical ego, which only serves the flesh, not the spiritual. You will be hard-pressed to find anyone that hasn't been taken in by this lure once they were old enough to understand the lie sold as value called money. Midas was already well entrenched in the system, where his choice was a given, inasmuch as that was where his head and heart was, money worship. The greatest illusion ever sold to the masses was this external green-eyed monster called money, in that once someone has money, they will have power as a result. The only one that has any power is the one that can control others through this nonsense. The one who controls the concept controls the consciousness of all who fall for this illusion. In Midas' example, it had to take the loss of his daughter for him to wake up to his greed. This is exactly the same thing that today's system is doing via the birth certificate fraud, where the seal is done at the point we affirm our mental intent contract to even touch any system paperwork. How so, you will ask? Well, once you decide in your mind to do anything and everything, you are already in contract via intent and thought. In order for anything to come into existence, the thought had to be there first, unless you can prove reality otherwise. One must choose to get one's hair cut before going out the door to get it done. Effects always follow cause, where we have been running that program backwards and wondering why we're in the mess we're in. This is the mastery of problem, reaction, solution. Plant the thought, observe the desired intent of reaction, then provide a solution to the original thought implanting to steer the game any way you want, since everyone here is at physical effect thereof mentality, the child's mind. Midas was easily controlled by his greed, so his choice of wanting to turn everything to gold based on that greed. Even when he was asked if he was sure about his choice, thought, contract, he greedily said that he was sure. This is a reactive mind, the lower ego mind in full swing and easy to control. Just imagine a child in the grocery aisle, or ILL, screaming for what it wants and totally out of control. This is the power of commercialism and its cohort, commercial law, legal fiction, Phoenician law, garbage. People have no idea of the power of words and the spells they are under in their sleepy ignorance. What is even tougher to watch is how much they will fight you for trying to wake them up from this. Unfortunately, like Midas, they will have to experience the reality of losing their most precious aspects of their lives, if need be, for their own awakening to begin. For example, take a cop who likes to abuse people physically and emotionally because they have been duped into thinking they are better than others because of some silly costume they're wearing, which only proves their intent to commit fraud daily. Most, if not all, of these types of people will never change until something affects them to the same degree as what Midas experienced. In some cases, their choices of past actions actually cost them their lives, where they get to reboot back into this game as one of the beings they love to victimize. I wonder how they'll feel and what they'll say with their former reality being placed in the mirror. This is the joy and sorrow of the Golden Rule, where the ultimate choice is always ours to choose. The system is Midas, and we have all been made the touch. When Mom or Dad touches the registrar book or forms, their very touch that leaves DNA evidence on those papers is the sealing of the gift, or gamete intrafallopian transfer, that turns the children, us, into system gold, literally. All the clues are there, and far too numerous to even count now. So if your tricky little bastard called ego needs proof, well, it's a no contest now. Every piece of system paper is intent to contract, and all the system needs is our Midas touch to give them our gold. Remember, everything here is backwards, so the more monetized wealth you lust for, the more enslaved you are. The simple proof is in the DNA you have, which is your physical and spiritual proof of existence, is shared with both mom and dad equally, with the mitochondrial DNA from mom that goes right back to the first creation of DNA that we see as physical reality or existence. When either of your parents touch anything regarding the birth registration, they are leaving their living seal, or highest covenant and promise, as the forensic proof that can be connected to you, the child, because you are both of their DNA made one. People need to stop thinking only in physical terms regarding contracts, because all things physical are the effect of cause and intent, that is the realm of spiritual, or your thoughts. A match will only light after you decide to pick it up and then strike it, never before. Even for someone who has telekinetic abilities, shows this where that self-same match will ignite based on their thought and intent. When you begin to see the nature of this, you begin to see the depth of the rabbit holes for the first time, where anyone tackling things in the physical sense is really only scratching the surface. I see some of the most brilliant minds in this game still arguing statutes and legal, which has nothing to do with real law, and why the system loves it when people do this. We have a planet full of King Midases that are actually creating gold for the darkest of principalities, namely those that control the Whore of Babylon game. The whole idea of ownership will have you fighting with vengeance everyone and everything that interferes with their gimme egos. Religions have people flowing energy to the same dark principalities in ignorance and full intent. The commerce system works the same way, and why I loathe the concept of money, because of the intent it serves. Again, if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out, which is to say, if you're not part of the solution, you are empowering the problem. In this dualistic place, you cannot serve two masters, because intent is a singularity, unconditional, and purest creation. Everyone in commerce is King Midas, and their very touch is being used to spin gold out of them. I am long past being gentle about this level of harm being manifest against ourselves and our children. I am done with the mental retardation of those calling themselves adults, yet still scream as children. The whole idea of growing up was to be able to do what we want, only to find ourselves just following rules made up by other supposed adults, where they too are even more childlike in the spiritual evolution. When you can finally see that everything is backwards here and in the shadow mirror, you'll begin to actually see what is really going on and not before it. At what point will you awaken to this mirror of mirrors and stop playing in the realm of smoke and shadows? If you claim anything legal, you are living in a dream world of another's creation. Did you not register your children, your car, your house, etc.? Do you not work for a company that is registered? Do you put money in a registered bank? Did you not claim to be dead by consent by using a registered name? If you have any identification, you are assumed and presumed dead by consent, and always in permanent dishonor. All things registered are all things dead crown fiction, and all ID created off the birth certificate is pure fraud and connects you right back to the contract sealed by your parents. Yes, it was the crown owner's intent to deceive, to aid and abet us into committing a crime of self-incrimination and fraud, which left them in a very precarious honor until we unveiled this. But you, yes you, have upon you now the universal obligation to stand in or deny truth. Oh, don't worry. The universal laws will be keeping you in line voluntarily or not. These are the immutable laws of creation that none can defy, and why this system was doomed upon the inception of the mere thought of it. Truth. What will it take for you to see this? Your children are already system gold by your touch, your responsibility. How many of our children have been stolen, raped, murdered, and kidnapped in full honor by the system because we give it the power of our consent? Have you had enough yet? How many more children will be stolen by your inaction and willful consent to be owned and serving this whore of Babylon? Again, don't worry, the universe is fully aware of your choices of action or inaction, and as a result of the golden rule, you will get what you wish for. That is a universal promise, and one you will fully have to live by. Such is the nature of the game here. Unfortunately, the lesser wise of us will flaunt and mock these immutable laws to their own demise, where my consciousness will simply remove them from existence regardless. I no longer see physical people where I can only see spiritual intent and consciousness, the other aspects of me. So if mine eye offends me, I pluck them from consciousness without remorse needed, where they are simply a change of mind, a change of heart, and will cease to exist in my reality at all. Such is the nature of consciousness and you, but then you might have been in a foggy sleep and forgotten this. I'm just here to remind you and all that I am all, and I choose what is allowed in my universe as I experience it. You will be hard-pressed to find anyone who isn't in the Midas default program, and even harder-pressed to find those willing to abandon it, even after they know what's really going on. The script-writing ability of the left brain will keep people writing fear scenes, and only because they're still locked in the program so deeply embedded. People may not like my approach on things, and there are many that likely hate me for pointing out the things I do to make them fully accountable to their own freely chosen and willful woes. Been there, cried the river, got over it, and moved along. A good measure of this program is evident in the overwhelming victim mentality so many are dramatizing and hate it when people call them out on their bullshit. The masses have been fully engulfed in Midas commercialism, and it's not difficult to expose their programmed greed, just like the mythological star of this allegory. It is always, it is always the easy answers that confuse people and leave them in a state of disbelief as to their own selfish naivety, but mostly due to the overwhelming nature of their responsibility as to their involvement. The sheer scope of this mind trap will leave even the strongest of us reeling in the face of it. The simple fact remains: there is a job to be done, and you, and you who are hearing or reading this contracted with the universe to get this job done. People like to ask me what they should do regarding this or that as it pertains to their experience, but the truth is, you already know. We are so programmed to seek acceptance from others that most won't make a move without peer approval, which only leaves them someone to blame their woes on if they do something wrong. Ego needs justifiers as a fallback and blame someone else position. The ego's lust to be right at all costs is unparalleled, because its only goal is physical comfort and pleasure. It actively avoids all things that may cause pain or loss of survival comfort, and will viciously lash out at anyone or anything that impinges physical satiations. In that regard, the ego that controls anyone is also very easy to manipulate with any kind of Midas carrot. That is why COINTELPRO operations like Swiss Indo, Opt, Nasara, Dinar, etc. are so effective in dragnetting so many people because it satiates the greed, lust, and easy way out people, especially those who have been in the trenches for any length of time exposing this system. I find it more than ironic that people are seeking an easy answer to their woes where the answer couldn't be simpler, albeit one that isn't easy and requires a level of self-responsibility that they are unused to. Such is the nature of the effects of people suckling off the teats of this commerce whore. They know they are drinking pure poison to their soul, but the meat stick has clenched teeth locked on her nipples. The easiest solution is to have an already formed community, such as indigenous peoples, who are already united as one tribe or another, but getting them off the white man's cock requires a bigger lever than even Atlas himself could wield. If they only knew the unified people is the most terrifying thing to this current soul-stealing system. From my own experience, they prefer to hate people like me who interfere with their victim stories with silly things like truth and resolve. I have met a few brave souls in these communities, but they're treated with vileness more than me. Sad, truly sad. Apparently, it's way more fun being a drama queen victim than actually living a real and free life. Nonetheless, we all need to see the level of the damage we have created for ourselves, take responsibility for that damage, and finally decide to stand or fall. The system has used your Midas touch to take all things real, transfer them to a fictional state to steal them, and while you play with them, they will continue to run the same show because it's working quite well. I will challenge anyone and everyone that claims to be awake, wants freedom, wants to tear this system down, only to be unable to pry their own lips from the white man's cock or horse tits as well. I am long past being gentle about this, and I will simply remind anyone that tells me I need to not be so harsh as I tell them that the freshly raped and murdered child is now their responsibility for not being as fervent as I. We have to be the voices and actions for those newly silenced children. If I'm not doing everything in my power to stop this, I'm as guilty by omission as the one who actually did it by enabling this dark realm to persist. No, Midas got let off the hook lightly because Dionysus was a good sport, but I assure you, the thugs in real life aren't so good sporty about it, and they are salivating about the next target that humanity enables by being an active participant via supporting the whore, by playing full-on without making active strides to ice this bitch. If you can understand the domino effect, you are just one of the dominoes in the row, keeping the chain reaction humming along. We have the answers now to deal this whore called commerce, or legal, a death blow, but few are willing to take their game to the last level and will enslave their souls yet again as a result of complacent inaction, where it is always someone else's job to do. That's where you're deadly wrong on the spiritual side. There is no one coming to save you. You're already here. There is nothing anyone else can do for you that is yours to do, your responsibility. The best way to say it is like this. Regardless of what you do to stand in or deny truth, you're going to get a universal lesson out of it. The proverbial catch-22 of damned if you do or don't. This reality is about standing up to these scripted fears and then wiping them off your checklist one baby step at a time. If you choose to stand in truth at all costs, the Midas touch becomes one of a different nature, and one that benefits mankind versus enslaving it and yourself further. What you do here is mirrored as above in the spiritual realms. Our only game is to see if we can handle it and climb back up Jacob's ladder. What we cause below manifests above, and vice versa. So stand up and free yourself, or be content to sit quietly as the slave you're wishing to be, and take a long hard suck on the spiritual poison from Mama Whore and Papa Cock, but be quiet about it. Remember, children should be seen and not heard, right? There's some truth for you if you can handle it. If not, too bad, so get out of the way while the grown-ups finish the masterpiece that you will never see. Such is the nature of having to come back to finish off what you keep failing to do. Me? Well, I've had enough of this monkey whisperer reality where the psychos run the asylum, where the next dead child is your fault. Try crying over that one, and you begin to get a notion of my own passion to stop this. Personally, I would have left Midas to his choice for a long time, to make sure he never repeated such a thing. That's what a real good sport does. One who loves enough to see the value of life without greed. Much love. And this will be continued. So there you go. Alrighty, let's see what we got going on here. Over to the studio. Let's get Chris's mic open. And Mike, you're there too. Yeah, I wanted to touch on a little bit about last night, because for anyone that actually tuned in last night, hey, Tainda's in as well. For anyone that actually tuned in last night to that fucking mindless drivel that I had to persevere through and not pull every fucking hair out of my head based on the inadequacies and the fucking delinquencies of people who were supposed to be spiritually awake, groveling in their own fucking victimhood, looking for an excuse, because I'll tell you right now, I had two people that claimed to be natives on that call last night, and I guarantee you both of them are carrying fucking ID, so don't cry me a river, you're still spiritually enslaved. And if you think you can revoke any spiritual contracts for those that think they can by writing up legalese-type documents, if you're still carrying government ID, you're still spiritually enslaved back to the original mitochondrial contract, I might add. And I'm also going to add, it's got fuck all to do with galactic shit, okay? This is a spiritual game. You're getting caught up in the dramas of the fucking video game. Grow up, okay? So there's my piece. And by the way, anyone that thinks they're God and thinks they're going to need a quantum fucking machine or something in the physics nature to solve this game is still stuck in the Atlantean mindset that got you fucking trashed the last time. So there's how I think and feel about everything that went on last night. And by the way, I love Dave at Wolf Spirit Radio and Mike, and I'll be there anytime, but I'll tell you this right now. Everyone other than Santos that I was involved in that call, don't even fucking think of calling me again. You're a waste of time, a waste of skin. You're spiritually fucking enslaved, and I'm calling you out on your goddamn bullshit. How's that for a fucking Katie bitch rant? Merry fucking crucifixion, morons.
Hey, Kate. What the fuck?
Hey, how are you?
About the whole planet.
What's that?
What the fuck don't they understand about the whole planet?
Oh, they're too busy with their victim heads up there. Victim fucking ass crying me a river about my people this and I, Haiti and that, and then fuck, screw off. You haven't got a fucking clue. You're talking. I honestly, I have never dealt with so much mindless drivel from people I had so much fucking hope to listen to last night. I have never seen a mirror so strongly reflected. What a waste of fucking time. Honest to Christ.
I mean, I thought it was beautiful when you brought that up. Because I've tried to share this with many people, and I went, Kate just delivered it. There it is. Beautiful. And then when you say you're standing at the where none shall pass, and you're sharing that, beautiful. Thank you.
That's my motto. It's the only motto I live by. I stand to post, I shall not yield, none shall pass. And Nun is the Egyptian goddess of destruction. So come on, get in this bitch's way and watch what happens to your lies and deception. It's just, honestly, I got to tell you, what I'm experiencing right now and why Fluffy is having so much fun is because of the sheer disappointment of looking forward to actually maybe getting together with some people that can make a fucking change on this planet, and they're still playing in the goddamn playpen with the rest of the kids. There's only one question I'm going to ask anybody. Are you carrying ID? And if the answer is yes to anything whatsoever, and this, by the way, if the intent has changed and you are making active moves towards getting rid of it, you're okay in my book because you're actually moving in that direction. That's the standing in truth thing that I'm talking about, taking baby steps. But you got to move. You can't sit still. This is a motion universe, okay? But I'll tell you, someone turns around to me, claims to be a native or whatever, and holds up a status card. I'm just going to hold up a big picture of a white man's cock with their mouth around it. Yeah, there's your status card. That's what I think of you. You know how to stop an advancing native army? Easy. Throw them a fucking government check. Game's over. And I know just a handful of indigenous people that actually know what I'm talking about, that are standing, and their their whole communities around them are beating them up for doing what they should be doing. And here we have the opportunity with these groups that are already codified communities, can stand together. The only thing that scares this system is unity. And when you have, any group that is, has any numbers at all that actually stand together and do you want some answers, guys? Here it is. Let's take one native group, for example, that gets together and decides to privately prosecute a judge or a cop or whatever. New game. Because you're not dealing. They love picking us off one by one. And what's happening now is we are gathering in force, and it's scaring the living shit out of the system. I know, because I'm watching my Facebook as the world changes. So I know what we're doing. We're changing this place hardcore. And that's why I come out so vehemently against that kind of shite that happened last night. That was such a waste of time. It really was. And this is nothing against Wolf Spirit. Nothing at all. I'll be there any day of the week. Dave is one of and Michael, two of the most beautiful people I've ever run into in my life. And I already told Dave that. I said, I'm there anytime. Anytime. But I'll tell you this right now. If I go on there, I'll go on with Michael and Santos and Dave, of course. But I'm an impossible interview now. And I'm at that point where I'm not going to take any shit or any nonsense from anybody. And I'm going to dish it up. You may not like me. I mean, fuck, when someone comes in, well, it was kind of rude that you interrupted. You weren't supposed to be in the call. I thought it was awful fucking nice of me to bring you in so you could whine your fucking victimhood. Dope. Anyway. Fuck me. Yeah, I'm on fire tonight. Sorry, guys. But we do have Maggie coming on.
Did you have a chance to listen to the guy who was on with Dr. Mike? Well, I don't want to call him Dr. Mike. His name was Joshua.
Yeah.
His name was Joshua.
I didn't get a chance.
If you guys want to know, I'll put it on there. I won't say it over the air, but he's got a website, does a lot of work with healing and simple stuff like humic acid to cure diabetes and simple stuff. But he was talking about common law, forget the legal, go back to the, how do you say it, lawful, And he's like, I'm serving everybody, taking it to the individual. He was really highlighting this point, bringing it up, and I was just like, wow. I don't know if he's got it down completely, but I think he's up there in Canada also, and what he was saying, a lot of it was right in our alley.
Well, I'll tell you what is his website? Because I'll tell you, I will flow energy and light towards anyone that's actually making the moves towards getting this and then standing in it. So please, if it's Joshua, give out the information, and I'll make a concerted effort to go back and try to listen to what was on. So, unfortunately for me, my days are full, but anyway, keep going. Yeah,
so on his website, I don't know if he goes into any of that. It's more about some simple products to help people get out of the pharmaceutical bullshit, and we were talking about that. But he went all on this other stuff that just went right in line with what you and Santos has been, and this table has been sharing. And so I'll put that in the lighthouse, and
I'd love
something put.
Yeah, and I'd love to have him on sometime too. As people that are on this game, you see, guys, you starting to get an idea how cutting edge you all are, how far ahead of the curve you're all walking right now. Are you starting to get the picture of where we're at? It's mind blowing.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah! Can I get a fuck yeah?
Fuck yeah.
Because what was so interesting about this guy, it was like I had to step out and I came back in. I was basically the witness to the whole solstice event yesterday. Somehow I got on the board and I was there. I was like, okay, meant to be here to witness this and put in my input.
I got to tell you, Mike, it was great to have you there. I'll be blunt. The fact that you were there and Santos was the only thing keeping me from delivering a death blow.
Yeah.
And you heard me. I left the show 20 minutes early, and of course, whenever any sort of a challenge, leaves the table, but I was just disgusted. I was getting physically ill, nauseous in that call. That's how shitty that energy was for me, and a couple of little snipes going on from people that might be at that table. I got to tell you. I'm going to be very wary of any former opt fucking people that were promoting it. There's one thing to follow it, but when you're out there actively promoting something, that means that you're just going into it blindly with ego and greed and all the rest of the strictly programmed stuff that's going on. Okay? I totally get it. When people getting dragged at it, that's how COINTELPRO works. It's standard operating procedure for these guys. Wave the carrot that is the most appealing to those most beaten down and those tired of dealing with legal and all the rest. Well, of course we all are tired of dealing with legal, right? So, and that's what makes COINTELPRO so dangerous, because it comes like a sheep in wolf's clothing, or a wolf in sheep's clothing, vice versa. Right, so I got to tell you, anyone that promotes anything in commerce, and this is the other thing too. Again, I'm not calling names out here right now. That doesn't say I won't, but I'm trying to be really polite here tonight, because I see a bigger picture happening here. But I got to tell you, anyone that is involved in any Rothschild-funded fucking fiat currency, which is, by the way, all of it on this planet, silver and gold, I don't give a shit. It's a value outside of me. It's outside of humanity. It's an idol. Sorry, you're bought and paid for. And if you're trying to solve a problem using a physical means, like to change the consciousness with a quantum fucking whatever crystal, please, is something physical the effect of creation? Yeah, I thought that too. I thought that was pretty much it. We got to be God and create it first. That's the effect. How the hell do you think you're going to affect consciousness with something that was created by it? That's just being at effect to the effect to the effect. That's the continuation, or the degraded DNA domino effect. Done with that shit, too. Anyway, so there you go. Whew. Yeah, does that answer your question, witness? I'm on fire.
Kate, I believe it was Joshua was sharing this. I'm not 100% sure, but he was talking about being pulled over for speeding one time, and they would you guys get a law in Canada now or somewhere, excessive speed, they'll just impound you and jail you right there at the moment. And he was just like, looked at the cop and says, I'm going to take you to common law court and sue you for $500,000. And I don't know if he was like, this is the common law and we can do this. And man, they got him out of there, ripped up the guy who was sharing the story, ripped up his fingerprints and was just like, please, go.
Now you understand your power. Now that is exactly what is going on. I want this guy at this table. Boy, we got the goods for him to take and play with.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, I'm serving everybody. He was like, anybody, everybody. To the guys who put the shit in your water, he was like, that individual who was doing it for the water company, he's getting served. All these guys are just like, all right, man. You need to talk to Kate, share your information, get clearer on this, and yeah.
Beautiful. And we party. Now, I got Tainda's in here, Lynn's in here. I've got one other line I'm going to open up. I'm not sure if we're going to have another shill fest tonight, but I'll tolerate one or two of them, then I'm not going to bother opening up lines after that, so unless I know the number. I just opened up 111. Who we got? If you just heard your mic has unmuted, you were the most recent. Everyone else has been in the call. Hello. Okay, that's muted. All right. Hey, it looks like we got Steve on.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, how are you doing, my friend?
Good. Looks like I missed all the action yesterday. That always seems to happen to me. It's like, oh, man, I always miss the drama.
You didn't miss anything, man. It was boring. It was dull. Actually, I will say I did get off a really good rant last night on Wolf Spirit. I mean, it was very... I don't know, Mike, you were there. I pretty much covered everything I needed to and pointed it all out fairly clear, yeah?
Really clear, Kate. Really right to it. And you know what I thought was really important? That you did bring that shit up. Because I've been wanting to share that victim thing about I'm an indigenous person. I'm like, I'm indigenous to this earth too. You know, what makes your tribe more indigenous than mine? We're human, first and foremost.
Yeah, the minute I hear words like "my people," this Fluffy goes, "What?" You know, she goes, all three tails get wagging on that. I'm going, "Come on, let's play." Good duck, you know.
Right on. No, I just I called in to let you know and everyone know that I'm here in support of the all. And yesterday I was plowing actually for 22 hours. I got quite a few people I plow out here and got a lot of snow. And all I did was listen to hours and hours of you and Santo and everybody else from the last week and a half or so. So it was pretty cool. It got pretty pumped up. So yeah.
Oh yeah, there are lots of powerful stuff. A lot of powerful stuff.
I missed a few of the Santos rants there. Just the way I was listening to the shows, and so I got to catch up on those. That was great. It was just full of goodies, as he would say.
Well, Santo has been on fire lately and dealing up the beautiful allegories. That was one of the things I noticed yesterday in the call that he was in. It was a lot of... I saw a shit pile of manipulation going on and of Santo and what have you. And again, you see, I'm an empath, and I trust my spidey senses more than anything else in this universe. And when my radar goes off, like when I'd already said to individual that was doing the hosting and setting things up, that's why I rolled out of the show instead of going into the recording, because I'd already talked to this individual. I was supposed to be sitting in with Sasha and Santo for even the last 45 minutes, half an hour. And right at the very end, I was not brought in, and I know that it was deliberate because of the threat that I am to people like anyone. And I'm not going to pick on Sasha or anyone in particular. It's the whole concept of these fucking monkeys selling some sort of commercialized system. What part of this trap are you missing? What part of this spiritual trap are people missing? Like, seriously.
Absolutely. And I got a message for folks that have issues with either the language or the way the rant goes or whatever else. get in touch with your heart. Start being able to feel the intent. I was chatting with somebody in the chat room the other day, and their intent was clear as hell. It was even betrayed by the words. And the person's like, "Well, you don't know what I think. You don't know what I feel. How can you know?" And I'm like, "Well, fuck." It's ringing clear. Just develop this ability. It's a natural ability to any human. We're only distracted by our senses. And if you want to be able to practice, you want to practice this and feel the difference between the particular option of relaying information through a good rant or something, then go listen to AJ and listen to his rants and see how you feel. Like practice the feeling, not just his words. And then listen to you or Santo or whoever else, and you're going to see a marked difference. You're going to feel totally different. You'll start ignoring the sounds and what your preconceived notions and your distinctions and all your programming says, and you'll start to get it, and it'll start to motivate you because you're going to actually get true resonance, not this horseshit new agey version of resonance, which is not training the deep embodiments where your whole body will actually reach the same quote-unquote frequency, another abused word that has totally been lost, like energy and all these other things, and you're going to feel it, and you're just going to totally get in the same groove. Now, there's resonance, and you're going to see the difference between, that kind of rant like AJ or whatever, not picking on him, but, that kind of idea where it's just angry, and the other one that's full of passion to finally get off this treadmill, which is we've been running on for so long and not even develop any good muscles. I mean, it's totally ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and that's beautiful, Stephen. Beautiful, and I gotta tell you, one of the things that I love when I go off is you all know by now. Anyone that's listening for any length of time, you know what my intent is. There is no malice in anything other than what people are doing that is harming them and me and the rest of humanity. That's where I draw the line. And there's a few things that are going to happen. I'm either going to trigger an ego, so if someone's got an issue with it, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to trigger egos to get them out of this program. Okay? It'll get them. And it's going to separate the grown-ups from the children. Because if you're still caught up in political correctness, as Santos so aptly pointed out the other night, if you're still caught up in that, you're still spiritually asleep. Because ego owns you. If you're getting emotional about things based on how you think people should act and how you think people should talk and how you think people should be, that's your program that has been running and has you thinking that you need to think that. For me, let it be. People will be who they're going to be, and it's like I can have people sweet talk me all day long, but I'm sitting here feeling what's going on, and I'm going, yeah, you're a two-faced piece of shit, but I'm going to smile, and I go, yeah, sure, good enough. But I don't need, your words to me are empty. It is intent, and that's what I feel.
Yeah, and what you said there about triggering the ego, anybody, again, listening now or is going to listen to this, a trigger from the ego where if you can just stop just for a moment from that it's an autonomic response. It's just so instant. If you can just have a brief moment where you can go, I'm being triggered, then the next thought should be, thank God. And, relish in the gift that's been delivered to you. Open that gift up. Look at that piece of programming. Drop all the other horse shit. And know that in the looking at it, it immediately changes. And so I beg for being triggered. I would love it. Please, anybody, try and trigger me. Because, and I don't mean try as in, give it a good try. It won't happen because that's obviously an ego thing. I mean, do it. Give it your best because this is the way I grow. This is the way I get to see something that I'm not currently aware of. And that's all the horse shit that I want to see changed. The stuff that I'm not aware of that's buried in the unconscious. So please, Thank you. I thank you in advance.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing, too, Stephen. When we're talking about languages, and this came up in the conversation last night about, well, there's no swear words in our language. Well, there's no swear words in ours. Actually, there's no swear words in English either.
That's exactly true.
This is the point I'm trying to make to people. There aren't any. This is the joke.
I know.
You know what? Are you owned by the definition of the word? Are you owned by someone else's intent? I mean, you heard the Osho thing that Chris played the other night. There's Osho talking about fuck in all of its different variants as being the most versatile word in the English language. You know, and people are laughing. Why? Well, because it's the intent. Now listen, yeah, we had the shows on last night, and when they were coming in doing their, you could feel the intent of the malice in what they were saying, regardless of what the words are. I don't care. They could be talking Mary the Little Lamb, and I don't give a shit. But you can feel the malice of people, especially sleepyheads like that are paid to do this. Are you kidding me? Oh, you're getting paid to be spiritually enslaved. It's only going to cost you your soul. Okay, fine. Trade it off for that. I don't give a shit. That's your call. You're part of my consciousness and my all. I'm just going to delete you from it anyway. So carry on. You can be part of the party. Or it's kind of hard to worry about it if you don't exist anymore, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I have incredible gratitude in my heart to all the rest of myself that speaks up at this table, and you know, for being able to hone and sharpen a natural desire, a major part of my purpose to be here, which is to break free of all the, you know, self-imposed programming and everything else that's happened at some level, because it has sharpened. And I've become, I like to use words like radical and outrageous. And that's the way it should be, so that you can more clearly see all the rest of the parts of you, whether, you know, externally or internally, you know, again, more distinctions that are still in that programming. So I guess the point of this comment is just incredible gratitude. It courses through me for this opportunity by all of you that are at this table, both known and unknown, because it makes no difference to me. It's the energy of it, because it is sharpening this sword, and the sword is cutting through all the horse shit, and my own horse shit. And I got a lot of it, so, you know, please. And if you got a spare shovel and maybe a truck, you know, whatever we need.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there. Me and my horse shit, too. I was thinking how being at this table has helped me immensely to stay focused, stay my course, and continue with the self-healing. And boy, howdy, the distractions come everywhere. And I'm reminded, whoops, distraction, back to your course, stay your course. And that is to love and nurture myself enough to get to the place where I can share.
Yeah. Is this Lynn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lynn. So what occurs to me as soon as you're saying that is, by the way, you know, I think you're just a beautiful person because, you know, like many, and you know, I've tracked just a beautiful flowering over time with how you speak and everything else and all that. But you know, what occurs to me as you say that is you too, and this is not criticism or anything. It's an observation. You too are bringing that very thing that you are thankful for, that, you know, everything you just said, you're bringing that because if you couldn't develop into and well, you know, whatever, drop the veils of it to see it in yourself, then it would never happen. So you're bringing it. You're just, you know, we are just using these tools that are seemingly external to be able to look back at ourselves. So it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for bringing everything you just said to the table. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
So welcome. You're so welcome. I was thinking of the committee of me, myself, and I, and all my mirrors here, and more commonly known as us. And we're just helping each other out and whatnot. But
well, yeah. Here's a little. Say, Lynn. Here's a little known historical fact for you. You remember Blackbeard and all his pirates and everything else? Did you know that when they drank tea, they lifted their pinky up?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, sure they
were
did.
Very nice guys.
Yes, they were. You know, this is what I'm saying. You call yourself a rebel and you got issues with how people talk. I think you're looking for the wrong team. We're actually the doers here. Or you might be looking for the sit around with your thumbs up your assers. they're over listening to AJ and other people telling them on quantum machines that, I thought I was a quantum generator. Oh, that's right, I am God. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, you know one of the most politest things you can say to me?
What's that?
One of the most politest things you can say to me is, shut the fuck up.
Or how the fuck are you?
Shut the fuck up.
As Osho put it, how the fuck are you? Is the greeting, right? So,
yeah.
Again, guys, and this is the whole thing about not taking ourselves so seriously, for crying out loud. Nothing gets my goat more than people that get all hoity-toity about this physical reality and that physical effect and this drama and that drama. They haven't got a clue what they're talking about. They're still looking at the video game like it's real.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to change the game, man. I'm bored with it. This is a boring game. It really is.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of guys and girls walking around stealing from another bunch of guys and girls. That's a real exciting game, isn't it? Fucking retarded, be asking me.
Yeah, and as much as words, they both are important and they're both not important because of how they put into a more concrete form our intent. So, as an example, around the house here, this is a result. I'm going to put it this way: this more direct approach as a result of this table. We developed a list of words that, to be dramatic about it, are banned in the house, but just making an effort to drop. And one of the key ones, which is funny because lately I found myself using it more, which is quite strange, but it's great. Is trying. I'm trying to do this, or I hope. Use of the word maybe, or I don't know. Any of this kind of horseshit is only that just the very energy of it is a lie to who and what we really are. And so now I've become really sensitive to it, especially with myself. But whether I hit it on the show or anywhere else, it's like Yoda had it right, man. Do or do not. There's no try. And the word trying, it's something very weak.
Oh, yeah, especially when I hear words coming out of faces, like words like limited and can't. And how about, I'm actually going to use Mike's phrase to anyone that says that kind of shit, shut the fuck up. I'll tell you, what's more destructive for mankind? Telling mankind they're limited or to fuck off? At least I guarantee you when you tell someone to fuck off, there's probably going to be some procreation happening, Just saying.
Oh, absolutely.
Hello.
I'm going to be going to see...
Hello. Sorry, we just... is that sick? Who we got there?
Oh, I'm in here?
Yeah.
Hello?
Okay. No, sorry, I've just been sitting here watching, listening.
Hey, well, you're in the call. Is this the Al Smith?
It is.
Oh,
By the way, shut the fuck up, eh?
Oh, okay. I can see now. There's someone that can sit at this table in honor. Okay. Holy shit, man. Perfect.
You must be. Are you Canadian? In Canada because hell, you said A at the end.
Oh yeah. Sorry, eh?
It makes shut the fuck up slightly polite.
That's right.
Shut the fuck up, eh?
Yeah.
Kind of like Bob and Doug McKenzie, if anybody remembers them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Car. Everyone grab the net and move it to the side of the road. There we go.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Strange Brew.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. On Facebook today, somebody put up a link to a YouTube video. It was a cartoon from 1950 something or other. Old cartoon. Well, old, I guess. Depends on how old you are. It would be, something that my parents would have watched.
That's old. 1950s is old.
Yeah. But they're talking about the freedoms and this and that, and this guy's, this shyster, of course, a wolf cartoon, is trying to sell him this ish, right? Or ism. That's what he's trying to sell him. Ism potion. And it's funny. What I find odd is that back in the 50s, they used to do cartoons about giving up your freedoms and how it's bad and evil, but somehow, in spite of all the awareness of that, our parents managed to still successfully get conned and give up their freedoms.
Well, again,
this is not that deep a system. This system has not been going that long that we're totally screwed.
That's the joke. That is the joke. It is. It's a newer. We're talking. Well, I mean, the overall concept of money and what have you has been going on for millennia. Okay, like thousands and thousands, if not millions of years. Okay, that's the game as it is, and this is how I see winning this level, if you will. To get out of this level, is you got to figure this part of it out. But as in terms of the legal and how it's so exposed now, is only in the last 70, 80 years. Well, let's say last 100 years, Fed Reserve. I mean, this has been going on for a long time. But since the inception, by the way, tomorrow is the 100th anniversary of the contract with the Fed Reserve, so I'm dissolving it today. Do I have any seconds on that motion?
I second that motion.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so dissolve the contract.
Got a second and a third. All in favor, say aye.
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 Hi.
Here we go. It's done. And by the way, I just wanted to... Oh, we just lost Chris. I got to get him back in because he's going to bring Maggie in. She's got some more stories to share. But area code 612, I had your mic open. Sounded like you had something going on in the background. I'm going to open it up again. And area code 740, you're in the call as well. And as soon as I get your mic open, you are. Hey, how are you?
Katie, all I can say is, shaka. You are a shocker. So can I give you my take on yesterday? And
oh, please.
You know, you came in with your guns a-shooting, and so now you explained tonight you were a little perturbed because of what went on beforehand. So you came in and you described all what you know in the fast-running thing, you know. But people that don't know you, right, they take your presentation, people judge, and it just goes to show on the whole picture yesterday what happened is how we have lots of healing to do to get along together, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, yeah. Okay, so people, in the first place, you came in and your guns were even shooting heavier because of what happened, you know, whatever, beforehand. And so then, anyway, when you speak and people don't really know you, it brings them a little bit taken back, you know what I mean? And they don't know what to think. It's way different than the norm, if you know what I mean, okay?
Oh,
in the first place,
totally.
Right? And then I could tell just the way, you know, they were like cutting you off or something, and that was a little bit rude to me. So I could see that there was a lot of judgment going on, probably to save their butts because maybe people were complaining, who the hell is this guy, you know? What does he think he is? He's all high and mighty. Well, people are just judging. And then when that gal got offended, you know, that's okay, but I was just disappointed that we couldn't just, you know, reason together. She got offended. And by the way, you know, you were very kind because if people know you, you watched your cussing. And you described very eloquently that you didn't mean to offend and you weren't doing it personally and you were just, you know, portraying what you do and bring your passion you bring. Yeah. So,
well, the thing is, too, and I've said this many times, it's not my table, so I will treat it accordingly. At our table, we're free here. Okay? Other tables are a bit more constrained. Okay? Other tables are not necessarily freewheeling and open like this one. I make it deliberately that way because the minute you attach a rule to something, you've placed control, and all that's doing is reinforcing a pre-existing ego program that I want nothing to do with, and I certainly don't want anyone at this table that we're trying to get rid of that program with to have that problem either. So everyone can say what they want at this table. And you've heard lots of things from lots of different people. And I tell you, before I came on the air last night, I had already spent about 7 minutes tearing assholes based on the fact that I was snubbed from the Sasha Santos, knowing full well, Andrew knew full well that I was wanting to be in on that call. But there was a different energy going on there, and I'm calling you out, Andrew. Yeah, you didn't want me interfering with that fucking sell of the money game. I got it. Don't call me back.
Hey. Thank you.
You know, and you guys you're together on the show all the time. So that anyway, whatever. I'm just disappointed in the whole group. If we're going to have a round table, Let's do some role modeling in action of everybody just reason together, everybody bring their stuff, nobody judge, and let everybody be themselves, you know. So it's saddened when they try to dish somebody, and anyway, it was all good, and I'm working on something, and I just want to beg you, please give it one more chance, because I will be I want to bring some groups together. I got some things planned that we can have roundtables and we can all share our gifts, our facets of. We are all facets of a diamond, and shine together, where we can all bring our knowledge and we can all help each other heal, in their own gifting, in your own unique way, and nobody judge. So anyway, love you guys, and I'm going to go.
I love you too, and I got to tell you, there is no judging on my part. There is one thing with me though, is I won't waste my time, and where all of these conversations were, I was at that point. This is why I know it's bullshit, because I was there once, and I saw the net results of it, and we continued to work on through it, uncovering one thing after another, constantly. And all I'm seeing right now are people still caught in the optical tel pro mindset of the carrots, the gimmies, still looking to save themselves with money in a system. They're still trying to, solve the same problems with the same solutions, expecting a different outcome. And we know what that is. That's insanity.
They still want to fill out paperwork and ask permission to be free.
I know, it's nuts. It's lunacy.
I don't know what's
it's
going
absolute
on.
lunacy.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with me, but by accident, I was just too lazy to renew my driver's license since July. I haven't, and I haven't seen I haven't filed taxes in 2 years. I don't know what's going on with me. It's just happening naturally, and then I think about it a little bit, and I said, nah. I don't know.
When they called me, they reminded me it's been 4 years since I've filed taxes, and I said, yeah, that's nice. I don't fill out government forms because I don't work for the government. And they hung up the phone on me, and they got pissed off.
I mean, it's not like I did it on purpose. Yeah, it's not like I'm detaching on purpose. It's like as I'm healing, as I continue to look at myself and go inside myself and heal and let myself get triggered by other people and not get mad at them, and maybe I'll get offended, but whatever. It's like it's just happening naturally, unplugging from the system. It's really cool. So love you guys.
There's only one thing. Love you too. There's only one thing that offends me, and that's insanity. The only thing that offends me is insanity, because I know where it leads. It leads to another child getting harmed, raped, murdered, or kidnapped, or something. And sorry, Zoe. I have no party to that. That's where I stand. And if people wonder where my passion comes from and where my rants come from, think on that one, and you'll get it real quick.
Well, all I'm
that's
saying,
where the game is.
I'll give another eye for that. Same here.
Aye. All I'm saying is, when we come together as a group, we got to do action. Even though we're not all perfect, right? I'm saying, I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying we all should just let everybody do what they do. Let them talk the way they talk, how they talk, and nobody get offended, and everybody just reason together. You know what I mean? We learn from each other. And no drama. Try not to have the drama. I'm not talking to you. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
I'm now powered up. From what I saw yesterday, I'm powered up to make that happen, that everybody can come together and do their thing. You know what I mean? And we can all act the way we want.
Exactly.
And help each other. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and mental note to anyone that comes in and as part of a round table with me, and I say, I want to go around the table here for a quick introduction, just to introduce people as who you are and what you're about. I don't want to have to jump in 25 fucking minutes later to shut you up for being such a rude, egotistical fucking cockbag.
Well, yeah, and I heard him a couple of days before that. That's just who he is. I don't. You know what I mean? So I don't think he did it on purpose because he's very long-winded. But it
doesn't
just worked out that way. So yeah.
Well, it's very rude in the spiritual sense, because what it's saying is only I do the talking here. And I got to tell you, that really, based on coming into that call the way I did, and then, of course, don't kiss up to me by saying I'm the host of the table. No, it's a level table. We're all the hosts at this table, right? Yeah. And I take that with me anytime I'm anywhere. It's an equal table. There's no hierarchy, so lose that right away. We're going to do this together, right? So I totally agree.
Yeah.
With that. And these that's the problem with roundtables when those are there and they're front and foremost because someone has got an agenda to sell, and there was 3 agendas being sold yesterday, 4 actually. And when agendas are being sold versus truth, you're gonna find Fluffy at the table with all fangs a wheeling. It's just the way it is.
Well, nobody could tell. Nobody had to tell me anything. I didn't know anything background until you said something tonight. But just I could sense an intuition that they were trying to push you aside and butt in. Tracy butted in and all that. And that's manipulation. I don't like that. Come on, they invited. Everybody gets invited. They have their part. But it's all going to work out for good. So, okay, I got to go now. Love you guys.
No worries, hon. Thank you. Right on.
I had an
who else we got here?
Hey, it's Christopher here.
Christopher, did you get Maggie?
Yes, Maggie's on the line with me.
Woohoo! Maggie, how are you?
Hey, good.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. We're having a shut the fuck up Merry Crucifixion night. How are you? Maggie, it's been fun. Just carry on. Don't worry about us. We're off in somewhere else right now. What's going on with you?
Okay. Well, there's some foreclosure sales that are happening while I'm away, and so my merry men are helping me with the foreclosure sales, picketing while I'm away. And some interesting developments happened a couple days ago. There was a foreclosure sale, and I just told one of my guys object 3 times, at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. But he objected a lot. And so the auctioneers, they get upset, and their fallback is, if you don't stop interrupting me, I'm going to call the police. And I warned him about that. And I said, let's call the police when I get back. Well, he decided to call the police when he was there. So he said, well, I think that would be a good idea if you called the police. So 3 uniformed police officers showed up, and then 1 undercover police officer showed up. And they're all wondering, what's going on. And the one guy, who said it would be a good idea to call the police, he said, well, I'm just trying to make sure that my objection is heard, and he just seems to be going on with the sale as if I'm not here, and I just want to make sure that my objection is being recorded. So, and he was also filming, and what's funny was when the police showed up, the police started filming. So you have two filming crews going on this objection of this foreclosure sale. Well, they were going for 1 foreclosure sale, but apparently they were bundling them, and there was 3 foreclosure sales. So one of my guys said, well, then we're objecting to all 3 foreclosure sales. And so the first one goes, and the police are there, and one of my guys was just holding up his hand, and so then in front of the police officers to know that he had something to say before all this was said and done. And so then at the end he says, I just want to make sure that there is a record of my objection. So then the police officer says, yes. He says, in fact, I'm going to write a report. And my guys say, well, that's great. Let's write up a report on this. So then the police officer who came up with the report, he says, well, the first thing I'm going to need is the names of all of you. And then he said, well, that's great. And so then he says, okay, so I need you guys' names. So almost in stereo, they said, well, my name is the witness. And so the police officer's just like, okay. And so apparently he wrote up the police report with their names being the witness. And my guy is going to go down and get a copy of the report. I told him, for anybody listening, if you're not aware, there's a police report taken, the police report is given a number, and you need to get that number because it goes into a vortex once it goes to the police department. They know where it is and how to pull it up, but somebody coming in not having a number, it becomes almost impossible to retrieve the report without the officer's name and the date and the time, and so the other thing that I'm having them do is collect business cards. So the police officers each have business cards. The auctioneer, who is the one having the foreclosure sale, has a business card. And then somebody came from the public defender or pretender's office, and they have a business card. So he's in the process of making sure he got names of some of them, but I need him to get all of them. So what I'm planning on is, when you have a war room, you have a board, and on that board is your enemy's movements, and you have like some tacks or little ships or little airplanes or whatever, but you have a instrument in which so that you can see where they are and where you are and where to next attack. And that's kind of like the strategy I'm thinking with these foreclosure sales, is because what's happening now is they are changing dates. So the date that is public information and publicly in the public legal ad is now being changed to mess us up so that we won't know when the sale is, so that they can have the sale a different day than what was posted in the paper. So, like,
well, the good part of this, Mac, the good part about this is, it's not only is it making it difficult for us to go and see it, it's also making it more difficult for them to sell it.
Yes.
Right.
Tell
it's like Walmart.
About the
put
sale that happened in the park. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't actually in a park. That was the address, and that was the sale where the police came. One of my guys actually, I think that was the homeowner that he went to go. Anyways, he was able to contact him, and he said, "I've never been late on a payment." And it sounded like to me that he was trying to do a modification, a loan modification. And somehow he's going through a foreclosure. And what I'm thinking is that the bank doesn't own his paperwork. So secretively, they're putting him through a foreclosure without his knowledge so that they can divorce themselves from whoever has the paperwork and then do a loan modification. So he's actually
Maggie?
not. Yes.
Maggie, are you up to speed on the who's who of loans and mortgages? Because you're bringing up a very important point. Because I'm going to tell you, here's the next level that's going to be played by these guys. They're going to start foreclosing on people that have never missed a payment. They're going to start trying to grab property.
They've actually just here, just in the town just north of you, they are starting foreclosures and not notifying people at all.
Yeah, and here's why,
you can miss a payment. You can miss a payment, sure. Yeah, I mean, people do that. That happens. Something thesis occurs, something happens. You need to spend your money elsewhere, so you catch up next month. Then all of a sudden you find out, I'm in foreclosure. What? How the hell did I get in foreclosure? I only missed one payment. They're getting really ignorant with people.
Sorry guys, breathing spit again. What I'm trying to explain here is the ethereal layer getting peeled back, which is why we're forcing the hand, so they're going to start doing it to people that have never missed payment, because they have to to expose that layer. Now, people that have never missed a payment are going to go, what the fuck is going on? And I'm going to tell you what's going on, because what we need to do is privately prosecute, and put your ears on, Maggie, privately prosecute the living soul that we went into contract with. In my case, it was Nora Detler, the bank manager. She was the living soul that I created the money for her loan. It was her that was getting the money. I was the guarantor for her money, her loan. So I was creating the money for her as a guarantor, and she, on behalf of the bank, bought the house. So that's why you're only the tenant. That's why we'll never see the original wet ink document, because we're not the holders in due course. The bank manager or loans officer, whoever wrote that paper and touched it and sealed it with their DNA, is the last holder in due course. So we have to subpoena them.
No, I understand that.
Oh, hang on. This is for everybody else, Maggie. We have to summons them into common law, because they're dead. We'll bring them in their legal fiction and we're the living witness. And at that same time, we can subpoena. Now we can subpoena the living document, because you're bringing the correct parties. We've never brought the correct parties to the court.
Okay. Now the other thing that where I'm going with this, Kate, is, how you have a class action suit, and you have a bunch of people who get together and they have a class action suit. So what I'm thinking as an individual is I bring, and I don't know what else to call it, I'm calling it a class action suit, but I'm going to bring these 40 foreclosures, because I'm up to 6 right now, and by the time after Christmas I'll be up to at least 8. Unless they're piggybacking, it could be another, could be 12. But what I'm thinking is I do a private prosecution on 50 foreclosures.
Yeah, and you're not going to be doing a class action. That's legal. It'll pull you into admiralty. What we're trying to do is eliminate that. And when you do the private prosecution as a witness,
you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I got
you see what I'm saying? I got to call it something, but it's 50 houses that I'm going to court this private prosecution on, and so I'm not quite sure how to do it, because some of them will be Chase, some of them will be MERS, some of them will be this and that. They'll be different. What do they call? Different defendants. Same plaintiff, but different defendants.
Okay, just to clarify it even further for you then, when you bring people in a private prosecution, there was a point I was going to make there. It was absolutely critical to what you're saying here. It's not so much a class action. Here's what happens in common law. The difference between admiralty and common law is this. In admiralty, you will deal with money. That's a lawsuit or suing somebody, okay? In common law,
you broke up there. You'll deal with what? Sorry? You broke up.
You did. You broke up.
Of course I did. It's the way it works, right? When you're in admiralty, you deal with money. Their money, okay? In common law, you deal with property. You don't go for money there. You go for what the law of Mark, or rule of Mark, which is forfeiture of the wrongdoer's property. So you're not dealing in money. You're dealing in real things. This is why we have to get rid of this whole money thing. You get it now? Admiralty, this is why they want it. Okay.
And that's where I want to go with it. No.
Right. I need people to get this, Maggie. Maggie, I need people to get this, not just you. Okay.
I'm trying to explain it. I'm trying to explain what I want to do. Is I want to tell them that they have to return these homes, this property, back to the people who we protested their sale. That's where I'm going with this.
Oh, no, I totally get it, but we're going to go one step further, because the guilty parties are the ones that signed the deal with them. I don't care if it was some goonie in an office somewhere, but that's who the loan was made for. They're the debtor. The bank manager and you, okay, have you read the Who's Who of Loans and Mortgages essay I wrote yet?
I don't think I sent it to Maggie yet.
Okay, yeah, you need to read that one. Okay, that one of all of them you need to read. I've done, 6 essays in the last week. Okay, so, and they're all pulling all these simple concepts together finally. But what you're going to be doing now, and then carry on, I'm just trying to give you a means to see the end of this. When you're dealing with mortgages, you're dealing with a debtor and a tenant. The debtor is the bank manager, or whoever signed that loan with whoever went for the mortgage or the loan, okay? what the person that's going for the loan is doing is actually lending that loans officer the money. And because they work on behalf of a corporation, it has to be two living beings involved here. So what you're doing is you're guaranteeing with your energy to pay this money that the bank manager is trying to get to buy this home. So it's the bank manager that's buying the home, not you, not you that's getting the mortgage. What you're doing is signing on as the third party here, as a guarantor to the debtor. The bank manager's the debtor. They're the deadbeat that owes the money. You lent the bank manager the money, and because they have a deal with their bank, the bank grabs their employee's property. And here's the worst part: you can't even go in as the tenant because you're just a tenant. What the hell have you got to do with this? You're third-party interloping. You can't even go in and fight for your mortgage. This is how they've done this. It's such a beautiful sleight of hand. But we have it now. So what's going to happen is these, you getting it? Okay, now these bank managers, this is why I want you of all people to get this. Now what you have is a bank manager who is liable for everything they have ever created or borrowed from everyone that they ever borrowed money from as guarantors. And what happens then is that bank manager forfeits property to the satisfaction of the one who was wronged. It won't take many bank managers to lose everything. So yeah, you'll get your house. They'll get their house back, plus the bank managers, whoever gets there first.
But hang on, the one that was wronged is you, because you created the money.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is we're the ones that were wronged because we were never disclosed that we were lending the bank manager the money to buy the house. We thought the bank was lending us. Remember, banks do everything backwards.
So they're trying to steal the home from the tenant, which is you, in one capacity, to give it to the person that they owe the money to, which is you, in another capacity.
Yeah, they're double dipping it.
Jeez.
Yeah, you want to talk about?
Does that make sense?
I got to tell you, when that epiphany hit me, you could have knocked me over with a feather. I'm thinking, that's how they got us right out of the loop. Right out of the loop. You were nothing but a tenant. You can't fight for that property, and that's why you'll see a legal name listed with a bank name. Okay, they're the two dead corporations. So the deal that you think you're going into with the bank. Well, I've never, like in the case of Bank of Montreal, I've never met Mr. or Mrs. Bank of Montreal that somehow made this money. No, because they didn't. I created it with the intent to get that loan. And what the bank manager does is they're the ones, the living party, that enables that because the bank is the shell corporation. That's where and this whole thing about qualifying for loans, they just want to make sure that you'll be able to pay this loan so they can keep the ruse up. It's not about whether you're making the money. It's a signature intent. That's all that's needed in this game. And they've got everyone jumping through hoops thinking, well, I hope I qualify to get fleeced. That's what they're saying. So we're dealing with the one-on-ones now. We're dealing with the living parties. Go ahead, Meg.
I'm in Washington, and I just saw a commercial on the TV, but I don't watch TV, but when I'm in a hotel room, I do. And it was for car loans, and they said easy as just writing your signature. That was the commercial.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, is that profound right in front of your face or what?
That's where the money comes from. That's where the money comes from.
That's why I was saying they're going to start foreclosing on people that have never missed a payment because we've peeled this layer back. And, when the system has to stay in honor, the criminal will always do something to make sure they get caught. And that's always been this is why criminals will leave clues because they want to get caught. So watch what happens. Mark my words on this, guys. They're going to start foreclosing on people that have never missed a payment, and it's going to create such a stir. This whole system comes down. Watch.
It's kind of fucked up, isn't it? But criminals do act that way.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
I've never known any criminal, and I don't care if he's a shoplifter. I don't care if he's B&E sells dope. Whatever it is he does that he sees himself being a criminal at, or bank manager. It doesn't matter what the criminal activity is. They push because it's like they're doing this. They want to see how far they can go before they get caught. They don't do it to get caught. They want to see how far they can go before they get caught. And they will always push it to the absolute maximum limit to where they get caught.
I would actually disagree a little bit of that, because from my understanding, criminals do what they do because they themselves can't stop themselves and they're looking for someone to stop them.
Bingo.
That's really what they're doing.
Well,
so they are actually going...
I've heard that thought too before, yeah.
Yeah. They're going as much as they can.
You both said the same thing from a different perspective. It basically is, they want to be stopped, so they'll leave clues behind. But here's the magic of this trick that they've pulled is the majority of bank managers haven't a clue that they're liable for every loan they've ever created, because they're debtor on every mortgage, on every loan they've ever signed into existence with any living souls. They are the living debtor.
Well, I can't remember who it was I was listening to just last week, but he explained, he said, what was it he said? Essentially the same thing you said just now, but he says when these people wake up and they realize that they're responsible for everything they've signed and everything they've done, they're going to be so screwed.
Now that explains why so many bank CEOs, that might explain why so many of them are jumping ship, because it's a CEO of the bank that is fully liable for every one of their employees.
Yeah. Well, I know the man. I know the man. I haven't seen him in several years. A bit of a falling out, but he's president, global sales and marketing for a major global corporation. Something rhymes with Nestle. And he told me about, about 10 years ago, he says, you don't have a clue what is going on this planet, do you? I says, I think I got an idea. I said, I'm wondering if you have a clue where it's going. He goes, oh, I got a clue. And I'm riding the ship. I said, okay, you ride that ship. Well, at the time, he was probably about 4 or 5 ranks lower than he is now. And now that he's where he is, I'm wondering if he's still thinking the same thing. Because I'm still where I'm at, eating, roof over my head, having a good time, feeding myself, whatnot. I'm not chasing any imaginary dreams or hallucinations. In the meantime, he's kind of gone downhill in a lot of ways.
Too little, too fucking late, too, for jumping ship. And besides, when you jump ship, where are you jumping to? Into the water. Water's the truth. You're still bound by all the sinning that you did, just like all of us, until we, correct the situation. But it was a really profound point. Thank you for that. They keep the ruse up to go through the process of trying to get approval for this loan, which of course is completely hilarious that gods are looking for approval from other gods, but that they're keeping the ruse up, because if you really wanted to go all the way, then just give everybody all the loans and everything they want, because you're just capturing all of their creative potential and energy and binding it up in the spiritual contract. But they can't do that, because then the gig would be up. That's amazing for me. That's a really profound thing, because I totally get it. I totally see it.
Casino. It's a casino. When you look at a casino, you cannot sit at let's talk about the Ace, the Texas Hold'em big events. These guys that get picked to sit at the table can't just walk up and sit there. They gotta have money to back it up, and that's exactly what the banks are looking for when they qualify. They want to make sure that if they're going to screw you, that they're going to gamble on something that you're going to be able to keep paying for it and be convinced that you have to keep paying for it. When in fact, every dime that you ever paid is actually every dime that has to come from the bank manager, because you were lending them the money plus interest. You get that all back. So, and I don't want to talk money here. I want to talk property. It's only going to take a handful of managers. More importantly, we need to pin it on the CEOs, because they're responsible for every one of their employees. That's the chief executive officer's job, just like the chief justice.
Right.
Now I think we got Gracie in the call here. And I know this is going to have Gracie on fire tonight. Watch. And Maggie, I want to actually talk to you one-on-one with regards to who you were dealing with directly, to give you tools, get you right up to speed with what we're doing, because we want to set up a private prosecution group, which I want to talk to you, Chris, about getting you here in the next day or so, for that.
Okay. Just one thing. I just want to ask Maggie. Maggie, how many foreclosures have you actually stopped in the last 2 weeks?
Well, we've ticketed see, 1, 2, 3, I think 6 so far. And then there's one on Monday, which the guy said that he hasn't missed a payment, and but we're picketing even if the sale is closed. If they don't show up,
right,
just so that there's a presence.
Right. So you've actually stopped 6 foreclosures so far, right?
Okay. Well, here
right,
I got a better strategy. I've got an even better strategy. Do you know who this guy is that they're foreclosing on that hasn't missed a payment?
We have his name and number. Yeah.
Okay. Give him a call. And it's going to be as simple as do a 3-way call if you can with him to wherever he got that mortgage, and just advise whoever it was he signed that paperwork with that he's going to be privately prosecuting for the entirety of the monies that bank manager owes him that he created that they bought the house for. Okay, every dime back. Set, plant, seed. Watch what happens. This is where we're at, guys. This whole thing is coming down now. This is proof positive to me that now they're going after people that haven't even missed a payment because all that's doing is confirming my allegory. That's it. They have no other choice.
I'd like to thank you, Maggie. This is Stephen. I'd like to thank you for what you're doing, because when I listen to you and when I hear when a picture forms inside here, what I actually hear is not so much, people get to keep their home and everything else, and you're deep down in the details of it all. But what I actually hear is this really powerful statement of intent and rolling out this change that's happening right on the front lines. That's what I actually hear. That's all that I hear out of it all. I'm happy some folks might still get to stay in their house and everything else, but it's ultimately not the biggest part of it. And I hope you see that too. It's really, really powerful to feel that state of the spiritual side of what you're doing. It rocks my world. And for anybody who is wanting to practice their feeling states instead of their ego and want to get intent behind words, just feel mine, because I got a freaking supernova inside me that's ready to go off. So that's all.
Well,
hey, Maggie.
Yes.
I was going to ask another question here. Okay. I really want to power you up tonight, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to throw some more ammo that you're going to love. Okay, first off, if anyone, like when those cops ask the name, do you want to know how to stop that dead in its tracks? Oh, here it is. Oh, are you seeking the legal name, which would aid and abet me into committing fraud and make you one who is enticing me into committing a fraud to be a dead legal fiction and actually premeditated murder legal name, or do you want the lawful one? Remove all assumption, presumption.
Okay.
Just to watch these guys balk. You know what I'm saying, right? Because
right.
This is oil and water. Okay, so that's that. And the other thing too is if I was to ask you your name, what would your answer be? Just in the non-literal sense. If I came up to you and said, "What is your name?" Say I'm a cop and I come up and ask you, "What's your name?" What's your answer?
Well, I tell them I'm the witness.
That's it. You know what you've just done? You have now put yourself in the untouchable realm in this movie. You cannot be touched because you are born again. You are alive. They cannot touch you. Universe has you at that point. You are indestructible, untouchable.
I missed what she said. Can you re-say that?
She answers correctly. I am the witness. And when you do that,
I tell them. I don't tell them that. I tell them my name is the witness, because if you just say the witness, then they might not understand you. But I make it so that they understand that I understand the first time they ask me what my name is. My answer is always, my name is the witness.
That's perfect. That works. Because you're saying my way is the one of knowing. That's what I'm translating for you. That's what you just said. My way is the way of knowing.
Okay. What this is blowing my mind, because I mean I remember when I met Maggie, and it was like, you're a totally different person now, Maggie. I'm just speechless.
Well, I thought I was all alone, and I've been fighting this for 3 years, and now it's just nice to have somebody that I can talk to about this, that who's on board, and I don't have to educate them, because I have a lot of people like, oh, Maggie, you got to teach me. I'm like, no, I don't have time to teach you. You just need to get in here and help me, and then you'll learn as we go. But I don't have time to.
You're being a bit selfish there. You're being a bit selfish there.
I don't have time to do that.
Actually,
so
I would agree with Maggie on. What Maggie's doing is forcing them to be their own savior, and you want to know? Then you get your knuckles dirty like the rest of us, and that's how we've done it.
Right, exactly. Right. They're like, well, copy this for me. Give me this. Give me that. And I'm like, you know what? Go to Kate's site and copy it off there. I said, I don't have time. And people that want copies of things normally don't want to do.
They don't want to learn. They don't want to learn.
They want to have. They want to have. Oh, I got this. And I'm like, you know what? This is all an experiment. This could blow up in my face, and I'm ready to go to jail for this. And I said, why would you want copies of things that might not work? I don't know whether this is going to work or not, but they're going to have a hard time getting me down. So.
Well, here's the thing, Maggie. It does work because of what's in, and I've said this countless times, and I'm going to keep saying it because you're absolutely spot on the money here. I can write whatever I want on any document with a full concept. If people don't know what the concept is, or haven't, like most people I've ever dealt with, haven't even taken the fucking time to read it, they're expecting the opt magic wand to make all their woes go away, where they're still playing in the nanny state mentality of, well, can you do it for me, please? Tie my mitten strings back on. No, Maggie, you stay the course, and you make these people earn it and own it, because none of this stuff will have any effect unless they get the concept. It's their intent that is empowering the paper, not the other way round.
You want to have fun?
Right, exactly.
You want to have fun? You want to have fun?
Yes.
Go into, in Canada here, we've got Leon's, but any rent-to-own type furniture store or something like that, or whatever, and apply.
Okay.
Tell them you want to apply for the credit card or whatever it is they're selling you at that point in time, right?
Okay.
And then when they're giving you the paperwork, say, wait a minute. Look at them and say, I got to read this first. And look at their face. Nobody ever reads that shit. You don't even have to really apply.
I always
Just go in and do that and say, I got to read this first. And look at their face, because they're like, and then read it and watch them while you're reading it, because they freak out. Nobody ever reads that crap. When you read it,
I always have read it.
When you start reading it and you start going, wait a minute, I changed it. I don't like this. I don't like that. Then they start going, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Well, I'm reading it, and we're negotiating, aren't we? They start freaking out. The person on the floor doesn't have that power. He doesn't have the ability. He only has the ability to give you a piece of paper and sign it. And he's got no power.
Right.
He's useless. But he's signing away his life.
Right.
Because he's the witness.
Right. And the other thing, I don't know, I haven't heard back anything. Oh, I told you about the envelope thing with Chase Bank, right? So, for those people that don't know what I'm doing also, I have these rubber stamps that I had made, and one of them says, I hereby charge you with fraud, and then a line where I put my blood seal, and then I who shall not be named, the witness, or no, I who shall not be named, because I don't have the witness yet, my signet, my seal, and then I had the stamp with, I put a signature and then a drop of blood, and then because that means that you're the Postmaster General, but I didn't want them to read the name, so I put blood, so it's actually the blood of the Postmaster General. And then I demand full disclosure of all, that word that I never can say, allergies or whatever it is, and allergies, assignments, and endorsements. And so then I put public notice, and I've done 3 public notices now to Chase, 3 of 3, and I said the third one, I said this is your third and final notice. So, and I'm sending that through the post office, so it's public in that the post office is carrying it from witness to witness to witness. So I don't know whether it's going to work or not, but I figure I'm going to bring it into court anyways.
Okay, I have to jump in here, guys, because we've got 12 minutes before we roll over, and then we'll carry on. I know, eh? Wow, that went quick, huh? Anyway, just let people know if they want to get in for the rollover in 12 minutes. You can call in at 661-467-2401. And, of course, the Blog Talk page you're listening on, you can refresh and Skype in via the Skype there. And if you want to get on the board to talk, all you have to do is hit 1 on your phone or open the dial pad and Skype and hit 1 there. Great thank you to Paul Giovanni and the crew at criticalmassradio.co.uk. As usual, anything you guys can do to help in terms of keeping this table afloat, it's all greatly appreciated, either through donations or subscribing. So, and, of course, the most important thing of all is to have the intent that this table exists, and that's what's going to keep this thing rolling. Watch. It has for the last year since I've been around anyway. A great big thank you to those that have helped out Santo and Bill and myself, and of course Critical Mass here. Greatly appreciate everything. I'm in the game. I have exactly what I need, and that's all I ever ask for. That's from the universe, right? So there we go. That's just proof positive. Funny how that works, but anyway. And a great big thank you to you guys, of course. Without you, this table wouldn't exist, and this is why you need to know it is your table. And this is, Maggie, you actually said it very, very clearly there about sending people to this table. Just get to this table where we can all talk about this, right? Like I said,
right.
I just set this table. There's no point in setting the table if no one shows up. So thank you for that. That's exactly where they need to be to get in real time. And here's the bottom line. If there are any burning questions that people have in terms of what they need to do and come and ask me about it, well, the truth of the matter is they already know what they need to do. They just need to stop with the whining and with the mitten strings and all the rest of it and just do what their heart's already told them. They don't need confirmation. Follow your heart. Just follow your heart. Follow your heart. And it's that easy. It's another shooting star when I said
for Maggie.
That.
Hello.
I have a question for Maggie.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Maggie. I'm sitting back here. I mean, like a rubber stamp. Seriously? I mean, I'm wondering who the hell you are. Because I'm telling you, you have some massive planet-sized spiritual brass balls. And I really appreciate it. I'm totally inspired by what you're doing. And
that way.
And I gotta thank you. So yeah. Carry on.
Yeah, and I was going to say we had someone else trying to jump in there. I've got Mark. Yeah. Your mic's open, and I've got the other 111 line open as well. So jump in, and then we'll let Maggie carry on.
Yeah, hi, my name's Colin. I apologize. I'd just been reviewing a lot of your YouTubes, and so I just caught on the tail end of what you're talking about, and I just want to kind of keep it simple, stupid. How I mean by that is, I really admire your Mary Cure-all of your eloquence of how you position everything in a very fashionable form. And my name's Colin. I'm in Colorado. I just discovered you. I've been watching Santo Bonacci for like 2 years. I woke up in 2006 by reading Behold a Pale Horse, and with everything
Bill
that's
Cooper.
going on, it's just been a climatic change for me, everything. And I never got into the dogmas. I never got into the deities and everything like that. But what I want to articulate something to the point of, if I just came on board, there's so many more like me that are now just discovering who you are and what's going on, that keep it simple, stupid, act like we're third graders sometimes. But,
yep.
You are a very articulate, point of fact person. I really love what you're bringing about, because there is so much going on, and whether it be from the guy that was major syntax of adverb, verb,
or Mr. Dave, I don't know how to speak English. Miller, that guy,
who might have been just and now he's a farce, by the way. But,
I called him out ages ago.
He is such a farce. But yeah, there's so many of these people that it's, I spend 5-6 hours a night of just research, whether it be, the ancient knowledge of Babylon to Sumerian to Santo Bonacci to David Icke and I can name a lot of people out there that I've spent my energy to harness, but I am so fragmented in the discernment that I try to apply with everything is just it makes you question
and wonder.
You want it in a nutshell?
Perfect plate.
I am flumoxed.
Okay, you want to hear it in a nutshell? Here's reality for me in a nutshell. Okay, one, this is a video game movie, okay, that we're all taking far too seriously. And we're here to learn our spiritual lessons, and what we manifest here in the physical is what we transpose into the spiritual. This is why when you get stronger here spiritually, you're getting stronger spiritually above. Okay, so that's the basic as I see the game. What we're dealing with right now, if you actually just read the essays I've written in the last week, and you would be light years ahead of everybody. What I've been trying to do, and I think there's a lot of people that can testify to this, I try to simplify it to a point where it's easily graspable, where people see what is actually going on instead of being caught up in all the smoke and mirrors and illusions. And that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years, is fighting through all of these smoke and mirror illusions to see what is really going on ethereally behind me. And everyone's been looking at the physical. I stay in the spiritual to see, okay, where are the contracts, where is the honor, where is the dishonor, and how have we done this to ourselves? Everyone's out blaming everybody else. Me, I looked at it and said, it's all my fault. I got to figure this out.
Yeah, I blame myself.
And right, and then that's where I went from. And the fact that you made it to this table, congratulations, Colin, because you just made it to the cutting edge table on this planet that's changed in this universe, and you're here for that reason. So thank you for showing up. About fucking time you showed up.
Thank you. And here's another thing. Cameron Day. I've discovered Cameron Day too. And Cameron Day, the karma, you are sovereign, no longer a light worker. And I'm very well versed, and I bought the book of George Kavassalis, and when I look at George Kavassalis and Santo Bonacci, I mean, they those two cells haven't conjoined yet. It's just like I know what Santo's all about, and I know what George is all about, but how do they come to the apoplectic and merge? Like where?
Well, here.
Am I wrong on George, or am I? I think I know Santos is on it, but I know George is on it too, and I'm like, how do I mend those two kind of?
Well, you're doing it now, and here's the one of the reasons why I love working so closely and have for this couple of years with Santo Bonacci. Santo brings to the table a very clear transliteral of the astrotheology. In the allegory of the stories, and what I do with Santo and with anybody I talk with is I'm picking the allegories out to see where the spiritual message really is. And we can get caught up in the hidden sayings. I like to use the.
Hey, I'm all about the iconoclastic mindset. I want to diffuse and explode that paradigm.
Well, you did by thinking it, right? And this is where we're at this table. So what I'm going to ask you to do, Colin, is just hang tough with us for a few nights, and you'll be right up to speed, because we deal this in real time with things that are happening right now. And that's what Maggie's been explaining of what she's doing in terms of foreclosures, and what I'm bringing.
I'm a forensic. That's my background. I'm a forensic accountant. I know where to find it through MERS.
Okay, well, then you need to hook up with Maggie. There you go.
Wow. Yeah, Maggie, I've blown up a bunch of stuff in Colorado with the judges here, and
well, we've got even bigger tools to privately prosecute the living instead of playing in this dead fictional corporate admiralty stuff. We've actually ripped the admiralty right off the court now. They cannot. They cannot.
I am witness.
Yeah. Yeah, that was rather profound.
I can take all the.
I am witness.
I can take all the help I can get. So this is way bigger than
Colin
3
showed
people
up.
can handle.
Well, it only
so
takes one
great.
to take this game down.
And real quick, and I don't know your first name other than Kate of Gaia.
That's my name, Kate. I'm transgendered. That's why the voice sounds a little lower than my picture would indicate.
Okay. And then, Kate, what is your nights that you're always on air, so I could go hit my Facebook and things like that means?
Okay, we're only on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, twice on Tuesday. Every night.
You're on every night almost. Is that Mountain Time-wise?
Every night. Mountain Time, that's 2 hours behind me, so it would be 5 to 7 p.m. Mountain.
5 to 7?
7 nights a week, twice on Tuesday, once in the afternoon as well, which would be 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tuesdays, and 5 to 7 p.m. Tuesdays as well.
And while I got before I sign off and go into the abyss, I want to ask you, are you at all familiar, and I've been a regular of a radio show, and I'm not trying to do this just to give him an earmark or anything, but you guys need to get on his show for sure, and that's Pete Santillia, California. And I've been on Pete. Yeah, well, I've been listening to Pete for 2 years, and I know he's a real McCoy. And I don't get into the Purcell Eastwood jargon.
Yeah, well, Peter knows me. He knows who I am. What I will ask you to do is, when you're talking to Peter again, is just mention that he needs. And of course, when I'm on someone else's platform, like I said, I'm a lot more polite than here. We're freewheeling here. We have no rules at this table, so in regards to language or anything, because we speak freely and act freely here. But with Peter, if I come on anywhere else, I'm very polite. If I ever say shit, I actually spell it out. But that's just me, won't, right? But drop it in with him that even if you get him over to my website to do some reading, kateofgaia.wordpress.com, get to the writings page and just tell him to read the last 6-7 essays I've done, and I guarantee you he needs to have a pillow at his table for his jaw to drop.
He's in the awakening phases of life, and he's probably 4 years behind me and a couple behind you, and he's discovering the Vatican. He's discovering all the, the mirror.
If he spent a day on my website, just a day reading, he would that was one of the things I was dealing with yesterday on a different show. I was dealing with people still 2-3 years ago, in their thinking.
Well, what I want you guys to do, and this is very community oriented, and I don't mean community as communism. But I mean, we need to be able to have meetups with people of likeness in every city and state, in every province, in every
country. Are you talking about Pete Santilli?
Yes.
Yeah, the FBI guy?
He is not. You want to... Suzanne Purcell is a fraud, and so is and I've done a ton of research. But... I do not believe Purcell and Vinny Eastwood at all. They are charlatans, and they are trying to make Pete look something, and they hacked his computer, and he's traced it through a DTOT, and they found out that Purcell and Eastwood had actually pinged his server and extracted tons of information, and they traced it directly to a third-party counter member of their alliance. I can't remember his name, but they are fraud, and they are co-intel pros like Gordon Duff is, because Gordon Duff of his website, I can't think of it right offhand, but a lot of these people are coming out to show that they are not who we think they are, and we are learning as we grow on, like Alex Jones. He is such a blowhard, and he has been called out with his numerous times of what's going on with Alex Jones. So we are learning that there are co-intel pros out there, and I don't know, but if you guys know anything about Suzanne Jones, she has been been living in a commune. Nothing wrong with that, but it's also commune, and she is trying to make money any way she can. Yeah. Same with Vinny Eastwood out of New Zealand, and he is nothing like what you think, because they are trying to destroy the one guy that is blowing Alex Jones out of the water, being fraud, because he is being financed by Stratfor, which is CIA. So there's a lot of things that people need to wake up about, because we don't know if, some of these old guys, like, when you look at the Great Britain guy, what's his name?
David Icke.
David Icke. We don't know, because if you look at his older stuff, he's wearing that all blue weird shirts and stuff, but there's been a lot of things behind the doors, behind the scenes, where they have hidden recorders of him saying stuff that kind of made him look not... He's hibernating who he truly is. And there's certain things that's out there that you never know. And so that's why I said when I first came onto your show, I don't know, because I'm so fragmented. I don't know what's going on and who is who and what is what anymore.
Where does the truth come from?
It's in your heart, man.
Right. Now, hey guys, I listen. We've covered all this as far as the fear porners, as I call them, are concerned. I blow them off. But if you can get a hold of Peter Santilli and say I'm game, if he really wants to be awakened to what's going on,
dude, he has got a documentary out there that blows Suzanne Pozell and Benny Eastwood out of the water, and they are POSs.
I know that, Colin. It's okay. It's all good. Okay, so I will get back on track here. This is why, because to me this is all I know. Here's what I'm asking.
Santos on Vinny Eastwood's show. He's making himself look disrespectable.
Hey, Colin, I've been on there too once, and I was actually surprised I did get there. And it doesn't matter. My message is pure. He can say what he wants. It doesn't matter.
Feather.
Well, see, no, not. I don't deal in the guilt association.
But we don't have the time of day to research everybody up and down. That's what I'm getting
know
at.
that, Colin. I get that, buddy. I do. And I've blown this stuff wide open. I guarantee you, my list of calling people out on the air is longer than anybody else's. All right, I was the first radio host to call out Opt when it came out, and I was standing alone when I did that, and the whole thing started falling down as soon as I did. So this is a power we all wield. I want to get back on track with Maggie while we have... No, that's no apologies. I just want to... Because this is information that you and everybody needs to get, and this will help you see where your forensic skills will come into beautiful play in terms of tracking back the holder in due course, which is the last entity that touched that document after you sign it. That's the loans officer. And ultimately, the CEOs are liable for all of their employees' actions. So there you go. Now, we still got Maggie here?
Maggie,
can I just say that you've landed in a really good spot to defragment yourself, Colin. Perfect table for defragmenting. So, anyway, I just had to add that, and thank you for letting me.
Oh, thank you, Maggie. Yeah, and like I had mentioned when I first jumped onto this call, it only... I'm lucky to catch it in real live time. And so now that you're here, I don't know what part of the country that you're in, but I'm in Colorado. But
I'm in Montana.
Okay. All right. I deal with a lot of people there. I could name drop some names that are major developers there or whatnot in Manhattan, Montana. But... yeah, I know people in Manhattan.
There's a Manhattan, Montana?
There is a Manhattan, Montana.
It's got to be real small. Because I when I was a kid, I traveled a lot of Montana, and I don't recall ever going anywhere near or seeing a Manhattan, Montana.
It's
Well,
near,
speaking of guys, come on. I want to get Maggie in here. She's sitting patiently waiting on a phone. So please, I love you. Just let Maggie through here because she's got some beautiful info. So carry on, Maggie. The floor's yours.
Well, I pretty much got what I wanted to say. I need to get together with you and Christopher so I can figure out how to do this private prosecution. So that's the next step. And I also wanted to talk with you about all of these sales are with numerous people. They aren't just with one bank. So,
no, I realize that. It don't worry about that. It always goes back to the living being you cut the deal with. Whoever was the signing or loans officer at that table when that document was signed, there had to be someone there. Okay? They are the holder in due course. They are the debtor.
Right, but if you're talking about my sale, my foreclosure, I don't remember who that is. I'm talking about the 50 that I have scheduled to pick it.
Can I speak?
Go ahead, Colin. I was waiting for this. Go ahead.
All right. So what happens is, maybe you know, maybe you don't, because I missed a good portion of the show, is once when a bank approves the loan and gives the money to the lender, to the homeowner, what happens is you have money, the contract is put into a tranche. And let's put it this way. Let's say you buy it from a small bank, or it could be a national bank. Doesn't matter. What happens is they tranche those based on criteria. The criteria are 150 to 200, 200,000 to 300,000, 300,000 to jumbo loans, etc. But then they also tranche that based on your credit score, and it goes from like a 520 FICO.
Colin, hang on. You're clouding the issue again. And I really need people to stop getting into this left brain girl shit, because I don't give a fuck what the bank does. I'm interested in who was sitting across the table with that document. That they are the holder in due course. That's why we can never get the original, because we're not the last holder of due course.
They're not the blue ink. You need blue ink. Yeah.
No, it's not ink. It is DNA, bud. It's sealed by the bank manager or loans officer. This was the truth that we uncovered. It is a sealed
So you're talking
document.
about the title representative is the sole proprietor of fraud?
Whoever signed the deal or presented the deal for the homeowner, the tenant rather, to sign with them, that's who the living contract is between.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Kate.
Yeah.
How do I don't know that I can find all that information out, because I'm picketing sales that I don't even always know who the...
I know that. Stay the course on what you're doing. See, this is what happens with left brain. Everyone wants to go and try to figure everything out. Just stay the course. We're working on this, okay? This is why I want to get Chris here. I've got another friend of mine who is brilliant in these things meeting with me here as well. So in the next day or so, I know it's coming up close to the crucifixion and all, but this is what I want to get together with, because I already know my targets.
Okay, can I speak in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Terry Hinkle. Who knows of Terry Hinkle?
Never heard of that person.
Never heard of Terry Hinkle. Terry Hinkle is the godsend in America. I don't know what you guys are all about, what part of the world you are, but Terry Hinkle is the master of where I've learned a lot of what I'm talking about. Terry Hinkle, she is a godsend.
Well, I'm sure she's quite brilliant, but I guarantee you she still doesn't know. She doesn't know this. Hang on. Colin, I understand. She brought you to the point where you're at this table, and you're at this table because there's something else you need to get. And I'm going to be very blunt here. This is I step in. Now
she knows about your. She knows about your circumspeak. She knows about you. She knows what you're all about. You and her the same kind of ball of wax with your right brain.
Then I need to talk to her.
You do. You need to talk to Terry Hinkle. She's either
and that's
Ohio
why
or
you're
Pennsylvania.
here. That's why you're here to bring Terry
That's
Hinkle
what
to
I've learned to fight the MERS in Colorado.
Well, we're going to take it to a whole level. We're going to get a lot of nervous CEOs quitting real quick. You watch. Doesn't matter. The deed's already done, and every former bank CEO is liable for everything they were ever responsible for during the tenure that they were at the top of the.
I'll tell you what. I've heard this so many times, and I got family in the Omega programs. My dad was a World War II Special Forces guy, 10th Mountain Division. That's my dad. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, but I'll tell you, I know all about it. My dad wanted me to do the genealogy of what the fuck is going on with the Omega program that my dad invested in, and quite large, for the private placement programs. And so I know all about the fraud of financial to, like, right up the keister. I know it. And I know what's going on to a certain, and I don't believe in these dinar things.
No, they're all scams.
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, you missed my essay.
Any dinarians are here. Look, these programs supersede that times 100 million. So get off your high horse of thinking you could buy a dong or a dinar, because that ain't going to happen.
Well, it's all system shit anyway, so we don't play in that realm. That's the bottom.
It's just bullshit. So the point I'm trying to do is save people's homes, keep them in their houses, keep food on the table, make them fucking, be able to buy a Christmas tree for Christmas. And that's where, it's WTF. I'm fucking pissed off and sorry about this, but there's so much going on here. But the minute I go in, I already am accusatorially positioning myself with the position of the bench, being that it's elevated 8 inches above me. So when I go into a court of law, I already question that in the black robe, and then I go into I am the witness.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And what you're doing is invoking a common law. You're living, and they cannot talk.
I am invoking common law from maritime or admiralty law or whatever, because it's admiralty law when it's gold fringes on the flag. So whenever you look at it,
there's only one other. There's 2 jurisdictions. There's you and the Crown. That's it. Everything Crown is admiralty, Phoenician.
But I am living spirit source. And
right. But we had to learn how to invoke that.
I want a show with you, and I want you in a show with Connor Day, because you guys are the same peeps of the same. Now, here's the thing. I don't mean to deflect this conversation from being financial of trying to help people, and I'm not dishing out my who I am and everything, my company name, and but I realize what's going on, and it took a while for all of us to awaken, and we're all here. The Connor Day is another person that you need to go into, and that is something of the epileptic that you guys are on the same path. And when that happens, it's a perhelion, because you guys need to get together.
Well, we have the tools to do it now, and this was the only thing I was after, was to find forensics, and it all goes back to the DNA, the living contract of spirit and physical. And that's the one piece that I bring. That's it. And everything else to me is semantics.
I've beaten people by showing me the blue ink on a contract. I want blue ink.
You know what, though?
And I've beaten the judge, and the judge has ruled. And I'm not a lawyer, and I'm just a regular guy.
Here's a fact. That won't work now, because when layers are peeled off...
It worked 3 years ago.
Yeah, I know, but it won't work now. A judge bowed to me 3 years ago. You try pulling that shit in the courtroom right now, they'll have you in chains and lock you up in a psych ward. Because that layer hadn't been peeled at that point. Yeah, I'm the one, right? The judge bows to the sovereign individual. That was me. I looked a little different back. But anyway.
Kate,
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if Maggie's still with us, I thought it was great what she was sharing, and that's always encouraging. The point I was going to make is a lot of times on these documentations, there's not a place for the bank to even sign, right? It's usually just by the borrower. So I don't know if that's the case. I was just looking at some of my older documents from 10 years ago when I refinanced last, but just thought that we might shed some light on that. In that case, I like everything you're saying. It's just in some documents, I don't see any place for the bank to sign, bank officer, bank manager, or whoever.
It's not about signing. This is why the whole blue ink thing is nonsense. You know, we've the debates of red, blue, and black, right? Yeah, these are all legal bullshit distraction matrix things, okay? What is really going on is the documents are being sealed. That's why I read the Midas touch. That you have the Midas touch. That when you touch something, you are creating a contract. The intent is there. It's not the signing. These are peeled back layers from the line being making you the underwriter to X making you no consideration, and the bank manager has signed it ahead of you. And then for those papers that didn't have an X on them, thinking, okay, well, there has to be one more layer. What is it? And then it hit me. Seal. It had to be sealed. And the way a document is sealed is simply by touching it, because you leave DNA behind. It's forensic evidence. For anyone that's watched CSI, they can locate DNA and forensics on paper. And it's the concept that had to be got to uncover this. So it's totally irrelevant whether anything is signed or not, because deals are made with handshakes. That is a swapping of DNA. Okay? So it has to be between two living beings, because you cannot contract with a dead corporation. That's why it's a big joke when you see Bank of such and such against a legal name, right? Who, right? So there's, like I said earlier, there's no Mr. and Mrs. Bank of America, right? That's a dead corporation. And, of course, it's the legal name, which we are all using in fraud in order to be aided and abetted into committing fraud to keep us in permanent dishonor, which renders us dead in their courtrooms as soon as we agree to go there. So we were dead before we even set foot in the building, right? And that's why there's a pre-siding, which means to kill, the act of killing, side, genocide, right? So when you hear about a pre-siding judge, they actually are telling you that there's premeditated murder going to happen here. And that's why I said last night, if a human being can be a person, then a person can also be a human being. Goose, gander, gander, goose, right? So any cop that asks anybody for a legal name is actually committing premeditated murder with intent to kill you legally, and are guilty of that crime as such. So the murder one rap actually applies to them, because if you can't have your cake and eat it, I'm sorry, you can't serve two masters. So this is the biggest fundamental flaw in their system. Fine, if you're going to deem us dead by consent as a human being in a legal sense, then if you're trying to kill me into being illegal, which I know I'm not, then that is intent to kill. That is premeditated murder one. That is a life sentence for any cop or anyone that asks for a legal name to create a legal joinder to kill you legally dead. Fact.
Okay.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, interesting clarifications. I appreciate that. I really think it's great the success Maggie's having. There's certainly a lot of people that are been trying to fight their cases, more or less what Colin's been doing, in this normal civil procedures. But I think they've all realizing it's an uphill battle, to say the least. So this is a refreshing approach.
Well, the thing is, we had to discover the living. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just going to say that I've known many people who've lost homes because of various forums I've been on, and every single one of them went down whatever route they went down, and eventually ended up losing their home. I have never heard of anyone do what Maggie's done, which is not only stop her own foreclosure, but stop 6 others just by simple. These are really simple documents to do. There's no legalese in them. This is just the concept of the name and actually understanding what that means. And it actually scares the bejesus out of them, because this is the last bit to unravel, and they don't like it.
That's why they're gonna start trying to grab homes that people have made payments on, because what it's going to do is wake up even the sleepiest of people. This is about awakening humanity, okay? So when people see things going south, I see that as going north, because what it's doing is it's forcing the sleepiest of sleepy to finally go, oh, we're getting screwed, right? They're going to start asking, what the fuck? I've never missed a payment. Stealing my home? Yeah, well, guess what? Guess who they're going to come looking for? Us.
Yeah. So what I think we're doing, well, I don't think, I know that what we're doing is we're laying the groundwork of what needs to be done.
Right.
And it's happening.
Yep.
It's happening. It's
I'm
real,
just
guys.
Floored. Yeah.
So Maggie, are one of those yours, Maggie, that's fighting?
Say that again?
The other thing that I wanted to bring up is on this, there's a public debt report. So anybody who has some time on their hands, if they want to go through a rabbit hole, the door is the public debt report. And in the public debt report is a company called Bayview, and I don't have my notes here from home, but they're tied. There's an advertisement or a company called Bayview, and Bayview helps investors invest in foreclosures, bankruptcies, and deceased people's stuff. And on the public debt report, there was a sentence, and I don't have it word per word, but basically it was saying that there was an error or disruption in their normal trial procedures of foreclosures. And I started thinking about the word trial. Well, trial is kind of like tests, like they're testing the water. This was a trial foreclosure sale, and it's like, wow. And I was wondering if it had anything to do with what we were doing in Montana. But you know, you think about trial attorney, trial judge, trial. You're going to trial. It's like you're going to a testing ground, and they're testing to see whether they can get away with something or not. So, anyways, for whatever
it's all about,
it's worth.
Yeah, you're right, Maggie. It's all about gambling, and that's the whole thing about what insurance is. You look up the word insurance, it'll tell you it's a gamble, and what the system is gambling on is that they can get more out of you than it's going to cost them. As soon as they see something that's going to cost them, they will not move on it, and they will run for the hills. And this is what we're doing. We're forcing the 3-card Monty guy that's standing behind the table to finally fuck off. But here's the thing: we're not just doing that. We are actually going to be grabbing the 3-card Monty bank manager, CEO, whatever the case may be, and we're going to drag them into a private prosecution. And there's no money involved in order to get justice, because that's what law of Mark is all about. The wrongdoer must forfeit to the satisfaction of the one who was wronged property in lieu of. Look up law of Mark in the Black's Law. You'll see it for yourself. That's what's going to be invoked in these common law courts. This is why, and actually my buddy just showed up here, so looks like we're a go for this week, Chris, so I'll have a chat with you. And what are you doing, what's tomorrow, the 23rd? Are you busy in the next couple of days?
No.
Okay, well, maybe we'll set it up. We'll set it up for tomorrow.
Okay.
Sure. Well, we have Skype and we can call you in and stuff, so it's all good, hon. I just want to hook up with Christopher, my other friend here. I've also got a bailiff friend that is going to be involved in this as well. So these are going to definitely get served down the throat of the gullet. Don't worry, all the pieces, the chess pieces are in place. I've just been maneuvering the board to get it set up where we just do the checkmate on the first game.
Excellent.
Oh, I'm methodical. I think you guys know that by now.
Yeah.
I fuck around. I look for every opportunity.
What it takes. It takes someone methodical. It really does, because most people they react. You know, they're the instead of being the thermostat, they're the thermometer, and in this game you really need to be the thermostat where you set the temperature instead of somebody else.
And all your life you've got to do that. Everything you do, you have to do that.
Yep.
Exactly.
Every aspect of your life, you have to sit there and you have to think, what am I doing, and is this good for me, and is this good for those around me? Everything you decide, you have to go through that decision, and you have to make that command.
Do you know what my master key was? I have one master key. You know what it is?
What?
In order to catch a serial killer, you must think like one. Not be one, but you must master the thought patterns of a serial killer in order to catch them, and that's all I've done. If I was a sleazy bank criminal looking to rape kids and everything else and get away with it, what would I do to make everybody else be the blamed party? That's it.
Right.
And I went from that viewpoint.
Right. And that's what I found too. Like when I'm reading the public debt report, I have to read it as if I'm a banker, not as if I'm an individual.
Wait. The public debt report? Is this like the debt type thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so that debt has to do with you how? Because as I understand it, that debt is a debt from a corporation that calls themselves, if I'm not mistaken in your geographical location, the United States of America. And it has nothing to do with you owing anybody anything. They actually owe you all that money. Is that the debt you're talking about?
That's the rabbit hole that I'm investigating, and it has to do with these people buying these foreclosures, people buying these legal assets, say notice to creditors for deceased people. It's an inroad to an investment strategy. It's another strand on the cobweb.
And I think the reason why Maggie's doing it is to get the names of all the identities of people at the end of the tunnel. Because there's always going to be someone who's, an individual, a human being who's at the end of all this stuff. There's always going to be a man or a woman.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
And these are the guys we have to nail,
Hey, Kate, you bring up you and Santos say this quite often about the children getting raped, murdered, and killed. And people might not really take this to heart, but the fact is, if you're supporting this system like these bank managers are, that's what the system's doing, you're
guilty.
You're guilty, exactly.
By omission or commission of a crime. If you know a crime is being committed and you do nothing about it, you are as guilty. That's the getaway driver in a car of someone that went in to rob the bank and shot and killed somebody. They're guilty of murder as well because they're party to that. It's a conspiracy, right? So what we're dealing with are a bunch of cons, pirators, okay? So, see, this is one of the points I've been driving home for years. If you know of a crime, this is my family motto, the Thompson clan. The highest crime you could commit was not coming to the aid of a neighbor. If you knew a crime was being committed and you did nothing, you got hung immediately. The guy that committed the crime, he got a trial. You got hung on the spot. That's how serious my clan took this. And it might be in the DNA. What do you think? Just maybe. So that's exactly. You're absolutely right.
No playing innocent here.
You can't. I've said this. Here it is in the nutshell. You cannot be. Listen, if you're going to be in bed with a whore, you can't say you're not doing it if you're halfway in. So you might as well go balls deep or get out of bed. There's no almost pregnant, and this is the whole thing about the system. You cannot be part of the system and not be part of the system. Right? The intent has to first be changed. This is where you start removing yourself from it with intent. Then, in order to prove that intent, by your actions you are known. This is what gets illustrated in the as above, in the universal sense. It's when we come to terms and think, well, if you got your hand in the fire and it's burning, you'll immediately pull it out. But you need to, if you didn't have any nerves in your hand, you wouldn't know. But as soon as you started feeling that, you would pull your hand out. And this is what I'm saying about the system. It is the fire that you've got your hand in. Only thing is, you weren't feeling it before. As soon as you start feeling that heat, you've got to pull out. And that is, I can't make it any simpler. You cannot serve two masters. You are the crown dead fictional jurisdiction as I've been calling it for years, or you're you, the living, the witness. That's it. There are no gray areas here. There is one side or the other. Which side of history are you going to be on? And what we're doing for the ones that are not awake, like the bank managers that don't know what's going on, as soon as they start figuring this out, how many you think are going to run for the hills? The system collapses immediately on this one. got the system by the short and curlies, and we're yanking as hard as we can. And don't worry, the system's screaming. Watch. This is days, guys. We're days from this. Months or weeks or years. We're days from this.
Yeah,
it's coming down. It's going to come down hard.
The Hopi have a saying. And
the only problem is, and the only reason it hasn't already collapsed, and this is the absolute only reason it hasn't collapsed, is because everybody's looking at everybody else going, well, what happens if?
I don't.
I know.
I don't. I just take it down and we'll work on it from there. I don't give a shit. I'm not planning a damn thing. I'm in the now. Let's take this down now, and then we'll see what happens.
I don't give a fuck either. I don't give a fuck either. Let it all collapse.
I'll second that motion, and I'm not even going to put up anything. I'm not going to put up any Ubuntu or any of these things that are based in physical thinking. I am going to let it down, let it go, and then let universe take its course. Nature take its course. We're trying to control that which is immutable. We're fighting the immutable laws here. I'm saying
I don't mean to sound cruel or discriminating or in any way demeaning here to anybody. But I would suspect, on a large scale, the biggest portion of the population that would suffer would be the top end.
The bankers,
the politicians, and all of those.
The military, everything that's dependent upon the system.
And B, the bottom end, all the welfare cases and that type of thing. And like I said, I'm not trying to be rude or discriminatory here, but because they depend on the system, will get hit.
Okay, well, here's
the top and the bottom will get hit. The people in the middle who are actually producing, capable and willing to produce, and maybe some of those welfare people will, step up because they're just there because the system puts them there. So maybe they won't suffer.
I'll give another viewpoint.
Go ahead, Stevie.
Based upon what you just said. All those people you just mentioned, for the first time in their life, perhaps, in this life, they're going to be liberated and will quickly need to access the abilities and powers of their creative self. The top-end dudes and everything else are going to have to produce something real for their, maybe for the first time in their life. And also, thank you to them. Thanks for taking the hit. Thanks for playing that role to wake me up. And so I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying, well, here's another way to look at it. The liberation of the folks on this planet is going to be the greatest thing ever in their lives, regardless of how much short-term or long-term. It doesn't even matter however much pain you have to go through. I'd rather see it fucking done fast than continue to grab stronger and bigger crutches to keep the shit going on and more people being harmed, which is harming everybody because, everybody plays a role in that, has a relationship to that harm. And so anyway, there's just another picture here, when you describe it that way. Well, here's another way you can look at it.
Band-Aid. Do you want to take your time slowly peeling a Band-Aid that's been on for a week or two, really slow, that's embedded itself in your skin, or are you going to rip that motherfucker right off as quick as you can?
Rip it off.
Thank you.
Yep. And here's another thing, that with all the people that think, what's going to happen? Well, I've been in that situation many times, and what happens is that your left brain or monkey shadow just goes for a walk, and you are in the now, and you don't look to the future or to the past. You're dealing with what's happening right now, and the most amazing things happen in that moment. And those who are able to do that will find themselves in a very magical place where things happen without them understanding how it happens.
Again, you guys are the lighthouses. I'm totally agreeing with you, Chris. You guys, every one of us are the lighthouses. We're the ones that are going to be guiding these minds, ships, to shore. Okay? This is where we become the stable mental datum for this realm. It's where what we feel, what we see, because we are, at this point, the dominant consciousness, because that's what awakening is. The dominant frequency, everything vibrates dominant frequency, either up or down. This is why they've tried to keep the vibration down.
And I'll add to that I really dislike babysitting. I share that with my kids when they're I got to somehow manage their lives. I mean they're 11 and 12, and they are already well on their way to self-determination and taking responsibility for their lives because I don't want to babysit them. And quite frankly, I'm going to be overjoyed the day I can hand back all these attention units that are hanging around me to all these folks. They enjoy it. It's time to stop the babysitting. So I see it as a great thing, total empowerment, and what joy will be accessed in that moment when people start to really come out of this fog, out of this dream, including myself, including the parts of me I'm still dreaming, thinking something that isn't true. Good riddance to babysitting. Thank you. Thank you very much, as Santos is saying.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll tear the system down and see what goes from there. I'm not going to try to solve new problems with old paradigm thinking. Let's just see what we're dealing with. I used to say that at work sites all the time. People, guys come over and go, I said, just tell me, what are we dealing with here? I don't see problems. I only see solutions needing to happen. That's it. So what are we dealing with? Then we fix it. Done.
Exactly. Yep. I used to manage a small engine mechanic shop, and same thing. What are we doing here? Fucking figure out what we're doing and get it done.
And I've walked, on a lot of sites where the site supervisor, the general contractor, it's just a mindless piece of shit to work with, control freak, and someone screws up and they're screaming at them and all the rest. So I'm thinking that's dumb. Boy, how much you got 4 guys here on site and yourself? That's about $100 for an hour, and that you just wasted the client's money. How productive is that, you moron? No, with me it was, and my guys were never worried about it. They'd come out and go, listen, we hit this pipe in the wall, and I said, no problem, just turn the water off. You already did that, good. Okay, well, I'll come in and I'll do a shunt on it, and no biggie. It shit happens, and that's the way it goes. I never stressed on a site, and I won't stress now. Sorry, it's just the way I roll. I'm mutable. Go figure. I just kind of go with it, right? Roll with it. And we deal it up. And that's, I'm not going to sit here and try to figure out everything for everybody. And quite frankly, I have unconditional love for all. And what is better, them to be remaining in a slave system where they're spiritually enslaved? Never mind the physical. I don't see the meat sticks. I see the spiritual aspect being enslaved here.
As I like to say in regards to your scenario about the piping and whatnot, feces occurs.
I love you guys. I got the
It does.
The coolest fans on the planet,
man. I
really do.
You just got to figure out what the hell's going on and deal with what's happening now. Roll with the punches. Holy crap!
Deal with it.
This is not rocket science. This is just life.
Hey, Kate. Just so you know, Kate, it's kind of sexy when you say shunt that way.
Oh yeah, well, shunt that pipe, baby.
It's like Maggie's massive planet-sized spiritual brass balls. I tell you, it turns me on. I'll polish those motherfuckers if you need it.
I've got to say, they're the only balls that I know that come anywhere close to being the same as the ones required to make a judge bow, apparently. So well done, Maggie. I applaud you. You're not just making a judge bow. You're making it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for Maggie, just a clarification, Maggie, for those listening, the 6 scenarios that you've been successful with so far, did you file the same set of docs? Are those, or were those 6 on an objection?
No, I'm gathering discovery information, and then we're going to hit them all at one time instead of going at them one at a time. We're going to go at them. We're going to gather our little quiver of arrows and then just stab the court with all of them. Is my intention, or what I believe that we're doing.
That's exactly what we're doing. I just saw another beautiful allegory. Canada Post is not. They're no longer wanting to be doing door-to-door delivery. So let me show you what the allegory is and how I see things. What that's saying is they know that the postal workers are committing fraud, mail fraud, by actually being the holder of due course, the last holder of that mail. The postal worker is actually guilty of committing the fraud. not the one who sent it, the one who delivers it, right? So you see how they've layered this backwards so that all the innocent ones, the supposed innocent ones, are the ones that are held accountable in the mirror.
Right.
So what I see here is that fraud is exposed for that truth that I've just shared with you, and now the whole system buckles, and they're no longer, they want you to consent to go and commit your own fraud. That's what I see.
I'd like to relate a story.
That's an interesting viewpoint. Never thought of it that way.
Oops, sorry. How programmed our mail carriers are. I had, you know how I stapled together 3 different one-page documents and wrote on them in red, "Do not read." Well, I had placed those papers under the unsolicited contract box, and I left it there for the mail carrier, and after the mail came, it was still there. And the next day I talked to him, and he said, well, it said do not read, so I didn't touch it. And I said, well, I left that there for you. I said, these documents here will set you free, and I'd really like it if you take them and read them. And he's like, okay, I'll take them and read them. And I gave him a little idea of what it was, but he wouldn't touch them because it said do not read on them. Anyway, I did get the chance to interact with the mail carrier and plant the seeds there. And, I was thinking about the harvest coming. It's going to be pure and plentiful very soon. And it's really exciting being a part of it.
Yeah. Look what you guys are creating. Look what we're doing together here, right? We've said this all along. We do this together. And this is the meeting and the merging of consciousness as individual and collective lighthouses. We are all independently, beautifully different and separate, yet we are all completely one and the same. And our intention is now coming into focus, and we're controlling the consciousness now. That is a fact. And I have no time or toleration for left brain monkey whisperers anymore. I think I've made my case very clear tonight.
Yep, and thank you. There's so much of it out there, All of them.
Well, hey,
Revelation. Get the money.
Yeah, Revelation said the deceivers will be everywhere, and lo and behold, look at how many people that so many people have trusted over the years are now being exposed for what they were really doing, to keep the drama alive, to keep the fictions rolling. And no, we're not. See, that's the thing is we at this table are not buying that anymore. We're not buying the lie. We're out of Pisces. We don't believe shit anymore. We either know it or we don't.
Well, we're at the point where there's so many lies, so many places that nobody trusts anybody anymore. Nobody trusts anybody anymore.
That's
well, I'll tell
true.
You, the ones at this table, I have no issue at all.
Me neither.
I trust you.
Yeah, mirror, mirror.
Mirror.
That's why I give people shit for showing up late. Both fucking time you showed up. Where you been? Come on. It's true. People show up exactly when they're needed. So, Colin, what I'd love you to do. Are you on Skype, Colin? Do we still have Colin, or did we lose him? Oh, we might have lost him.
Yeah, he hopefully he'll turn up.
All right. Well, my Skype's easy, katie.renee.thompson. So katie.renee.thompson. So tag me on Skype, and well, let's get hooked up and get all forensic, because that's what the whole legal system is based in, forensic. And that was the one clue I missed for so long. And I've known this, that it's forensic, for years. But it didn't click on me to the limit of what forensics is, and then I kind of looked at it simply and I said, wait a minute, forensics, DNA. Oh, that's how we seal these things. Sealed with a kiss? Yeah. Sealed.
Why are they so interested in DNA all of a sudden, right?
Yeah. Well, look, everything I've been popping up on Facebook, computer. I popped on a Bill Donahue video there a few days back, out of the blue, just one of the, And what's he talking about? DNA. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's my universal confirmation. So when I get an idea, I just, I randomly, there's no such thing as random, by the way, randomly just go and click on something and poof, there it is. Exactly what I needed to see, exactly confirming everything that I've been thinking intuitively. So, yeah, the universe delivers. I promise you it delivers.
Hear, hear.
Yes. May I interrupt?
Oh, yeah, let her go.
Can I interrupt?
Go ahead.
All right. I love what I'm hearing tonight. I will have to say, Kate, it's Val. The same story, very familiar as you. Took my home, kept me for 9 hours the first time and 22 days the second. But I really want to say, with the level of consciousness that we have on this plane right now, that it's shipped to shore. It's completely shipped to shore. I think there was some trust issues with all of the information that people have heard saying that they didn't know who to trust. But it's kind of funny because when you know truth, you understand truth. That's how ship to shore works.
Bingo. Absolutely. There was something you triggered on. Oh, that was the other thing, too, about private prosecutions. You want to know what my confirmation was today with regards to this being confirmed fact? Well, here, let me go to Facebook.
Yeah.
That's my world barometer, by the way. There was a story that was sent to me. This is my barometer. I can tell how much the consciousness is awakening by how many new people show up. And by the way,
actually, I've been noticing. Come to think, now that you mention that, it's funny because Facebook, I hated it. I didn't even create my own account. The girlfriend created it for me to play games and whatnot, and I took it over when I found out she had it. But I'm finding more and more people are starting to discuss more and more things and share more and more things that I would have never expected this person to be interested in this topic. Could be chemtrails, could be marijuana curing cancer, could be whatever. It's just, it's like going everywhere.
You know the law of dominant. You know the law of dominant frequency. It's a natural law. It's the same thing that makes a bunch of clocks in a room that are all ticking differently all start to tick in unison. And what happens is, and this is why the power
women who live together start cycling together,
menstruating together. Yes. What happens is, when, and it happens in music too, right? If you have two,
too. That was
absolutely. Yeah, we all start to resonate together with whatever vibration is happening around us. So what happens here, in the spiritual sense, is that when we find truths and reawaken to them, we're actually in a different vibration because we're by default, and I hate using this because it sounds so New Cage-ish, right? But anyway, it makes it easy to clarify. I just don't want people misconstruing what I'm saying here. So what happens with a truth, once you realize it, you're actually at a higher frequency of knowing, and when you share that with someone else, they're at that and when they get it, this is why I drill this thing home every night, same shit over and over and over, because I want more people just to get the simple stuff, because as soon as they get it, their aha moment, now they're one of those clocks that are ticking and talking with the rest of us, okay? And what happens now when we have two of those, and we get the third, and then we get the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, and it gets exponential really quick. This is why you're seeing people that you would never have dreamed of talking about what we're talking about what we're talking about. And here was the confirmation. Right. It was a police officer.
This is kind of funny. This is kind of funny because I wanted to ask you this.
Sure.
Kind of off without anybody else around, kind of thing, because you're just south of me. Right?
Yep.
But there's a lot. I've got about 6 or 8 people in this area that want to get together and talk. So I wanted to know if you were.
Yeah. When you want me up there? Where are you?
I'm just north of you in that city named K.
Oh, K with followed by a W.
Yeah.
Oh, for crying out loud! Why? Just set it up and let me know when.
Well, you never respond to me when I freaking set you up on the Skype thing here, but yeah, I got 5 or 6 people. They're all kind of scattered. I don't know all of them, but I know people who know this guy and that guy.
Well, then bring them together. Let's have a get together. Maybe do a show from your place.
Well, we don't necessarily have to do a show, but let's just
get together and have a beer. Well, yeah, but if it's
have a beer to shoot the shit.
Well, if it's going to be around 7 o'clock, depending on travel, we'll just do the show and then I can travel. It's all good. It's like I get a 7-night-a-week commitment, Yeah,
I know.
Actually, I don't, because I've got Christopher, don't I? And I have Tanda, and I have Bindi, and I have others that can helm this table, no problem.
Hey, kid, I'd love to hear you do your version of the Rainbow Connection.
The Rainbow Connection.
So you can always bow out for an evening. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking like a Sunday night or something.
Sure, whatever. Just set it up. You got me on Skype. Just tell me when you want it, and then let's get together and get it done. I'd love to do that. I love meeting up with people.
Well, some of them you may not have met them, but they saw you at the conference.
Yeah, that's fine.
I want to bet on the other team.
Yeah, build it. I will come.
Build it. All right, let's do that. Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to be so disagreeable.
Hey, you were saying about the police officer?
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
What happened? Yeah, what happened with the cop for the confirmation of what we're doing in private prosecution was a cop was found guilty of assault, and it ended up costing him, not the taxpayer, costing him personally $250,000. So that was the confirmation of the private prosecution that these guys are going down. It won't take many of those guys to fall before they start giving up real quick. They'll be dropping their guns and uniforms real quick, because every time they open their mouth to ask for someone's name, they're committing murder. Literally. If a human being can be a person, then a person can be a human being. And if you kill a person, you're killing a human being. By fundamental definition, default, you're fucked. I love
what I'd like to do is get to the point of being able to listen to the news, see that there's a police officer that's killed someone, and then actually privately prosecute them right the next day. That's what I'd like to do.
Well, all we need to do is go through the the cops typically kill about between 500 and 600 people a year in Canada, and never one of them actually ever gets.
They need to all be privately prosecuted.
Yeah. Well, that's it. They get off with it. And the thing is, in the universal sense, they're not committing murder, because someone that's carrying legal identification is already dead by consent. So there is no real murder there. That's how they get away with it. Now we are showing them that sorry, if you're killing someone legally or real, it's the same thing. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Sorry, they're going to choke on this one. The dragon's tail is getting rammed down the dragon's throat. It takes a dragon to slay one, and guess what year I was born in? Let's party.
Yeah.
So there you go. Anyway, we got about and let me know, guys, when you want me there, and universe delivers, right? Make your wish known. Nothing I love more than going out and hanging out with people, and a beer sounds good. I don't drink very often, but I can do a beer.
Oh, whatever. Drink whatever you want.
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
Bring us to THC. This guy I was sharing with you about, Joshua. He was talking about in the mother's milk there's THC. In our body there's THC. Not only the DMT that we have naturally, we have THC and all the cannabinoids naturally in our system.
Yeah, well, the cannabinoids, what they do is repair the brain stems, the synapses in the brain. There's a piece of you. Let's say what alcohol does is it pops these little pieces out, and what the cannabinoids do is put them back. You can actually heal your brain from all the damage you've done to reconnect all those connections to get you going. And don't forget what I was talking about last night with calcification. If the system is being deemed for doing something, that to me is a perfect ploy, just like they've been trying to sell us on the New World Order coming, which has already been here for thousands of years anyway. So we still think it's coming when it's actually here. And who the hell's going to find it, right? Because you're still thinking it's coming when I know it's here. Right, so that's the difference. So when they're selling the idea of putting fluoride in the water, fluoridation of the water that calcifies the pineal, we need to get the pineal calcified. It needs to be turned into a stone. It's a sandy mixture. right, for those that are operative, it has to be a stone in order for it to crack open. Ka, El, Psi, Phi. Ka, spirit. El, the power of intent. Psi, spirit again. And Phi, that's create. So, yeah, I'm in. I get it. It's in the phonics. I'm good with it now. And Moses didn't hit the sandy, beach. He hit the rock when the truth came out. So that which, this is what happens when people get polarized between good or evil. You're missing half the story. It has to be good and evil, and you have to be able to see both sides of it neutrally as the observer. And if you're emotional, you're done. If you're looking for an enemy, you might as well look in the mirror because you're your own worst enemy. So there it is. We got about a minute left, guys, so wrap up. Beautiful show tonight. Thank you guys so much. It's been just beautiful tonight.
Thank you. I had heard a radio host once say that cannabis is an entity that doesn't have our best interests at heart. And, that just blew my mind. I've had personal experiences with it, and it's helped improve the quality of my life, for God's sakes.
Absolutely.
So I have a difficult time, with the idea that it doesn't have our best interests at heart when it's such a healing herb in the first place. But then you see the other side for, looking at both sides. I can see it as well, where for some people it's, inexcess, So
well, too much of a good thing too much of a good thing becomes a poison, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
At 19 feet, pure oxygen is fatal for a diver.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
That is. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, listen, we're probably about 30 seconds out here, so I'll roll out with the little jingle, and I'll urge everybody to be at the table tomorrow night. Fair?
Fair enough.
Good night.
All right.
Okay.
Much love to everybody. Take care. And Chris, I'll tag you. Give me about half an hour, and I'll give you a quick shout. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Much love, everybody. Good night.
Night.
Yep.
All right. Good night.
You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
Until something affects them to the same degree as what Midas experienced. In some cases, their choices of past actions actually cost them their lives, where they get to reboot back into this game as one of the beings they love to victimize. I wonder how they'll feel and what they'll say with their former reality being placed in the mirror. This is the joy and sorrow of the Golden Rule, where the ultimate choice is always ours to choose. The system is Midas, and we have all been made the touch. When Mom or Dad touches the registrar book or forms, their very touch that leaves DNA evidence on those papers is the sealing of the gift, or gamete intrafallopian transfer, that turns the children, us, into system gold, literally. All the clues are there, and far too numerous to even count now. So if your tricky little bastard called ego needs proof, well, it's a no contest now. Every piece of system paper is intent to contract, and all the system needs is our Midas touch to give them our gold. Remember, everything here is backwards, so the more monetized wealth you lust for, the more enslaved you are. The simple proof is in the DNA you have, which is your physical and spiritual proof of existence, is shared with both Mom and Dad equally, with the mitochondrial DNA from Mom that goes right back to the first creation of DNA that we see as physical reality or existence. When either of your parents touch anything regarding the birth registration, they are leaving their living seal, or highest covenant and promise, as the forensic proof that can be connected to you, the child, because you are both of their DNA made one. People need to stop thinking only in physical terms regarding contracts, because all things physical are the effect of cause and intent, that is the realm of spiritual, or your thoughts. A match will only light after you decide to pick it up and then strike it, never before. Even for someone who has telekinetic abilities, shows this where that self-same match will ignite based on their thought and intent. When you begin to see the nature of this, you begin to see the depth of the rabbit holes for the first time, where anyone tackling things in the physical sense is really only scratching the surface. I see some of the most brilliant minds in this game still arguing statutes and legal, which has nothing to do with real law, and why the system loves it when people do this. We have a planet full of King Midases that are actually creating gold for the darkest of principalities, namely those that control the Whore of Babylon game. The whole idea of ownership will have you fighting with vengeance everyone and everything that interferes with their gimme egos. Religions have people flowing energy to the same dark principalities in ignorance and full intent. The commerce system works the same way, and why I loathe the concept of money, because of the intent it serves. Again, if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out, which is to say, if you're not part of the solution, you are empowering the problem. In this dualistic place, you cannot serve two masters, because intent is a singularity, unconditional, and purest creation. Everyone in commerce is King Midas, and their very touch is being used to spin gold out of them. I am long past being gentle about this level of harm being manifest against ourselves and our children. I am done with the mental retardation of those calling themselves adults, yet still scream as children. The whole idea of growing up was to be able to do what we want, only to find ourselves just following rules made up by other supposed adults, where they too are even more childlike in the spiritual evolution. When you can finally see that everything is backwards here and in the shadow mirror, you'll begin to actually see what is really going on and not before it. At what point will you awaken to this mirror of mirrors and stop playing in the realm of smoke and shadows? If you claim anything legal, you are living in a dream world of another's creation. Did you not register your children, your car, your house, etc.? Do you not work for a company that is registered? Do you put money in a registered bank? Did you not claim to be dead by consent by using a registered name? If you have any identification, you are assumed and presumed dead by consent, and always with real responsibility. Here's the thing, any of the concepts that you click on herein and hereafter, you are fully obligated by the universe, to the universe, for the universe, to stand in those or deny them accordingly. And I will tell you this. Do not deny the truth. So here's your warning. If you can't handle the truth, you don't think you can stomach actually being all grown up and everything, take your diapers off, cut the mitten string, and actually you go to the bathroom without needing to ask for permission from somebody, hang out here. Or not. So there's your warning. Because what we're going to be sharing here is a lot of obligation, and it's only for grown-ups. So if you're the kid that likes to bitch and whine, victim mentality, and all the rest of it, I would urge you to simply fuck off and go somewhere else that will pander to your very mature status as a spiritual being, while we are all here trying to, grow up a little bit. Actually, a lot, but here we go. The Midas touch. That was the other thing, too. I don't pull any punches at this table. I don't hold back, and I don't really give a rat's ass what people say or do here. You bring the truth to this table, we'll sort through it. And if you bring garbage, well, don't worry, we'll throw you out with it. It's all good. This is not a table to be messed with. This is a universe-changing table, so welcome. For those that understand what a contract really is, the concepts that follow will be easy to spot and the relevancy therein. It is not always an easy task to remove people from their literal reality brain traps for them to see far beyond a well-programmed veil. I will share one version of the King Midas mythology and then have a look at its multiplicity. Midas. Mythological possessor of the Midas touch, the power to transmute whatever he touched into gold. Midas was a king of Phrygia, a region nowadays part of Turkey. One day, some of his farmhands brought him a satyr that they had caught napping in the vineyard. This creature, part man, part goat, still groggy and much the worse for wear, had been thoroughly trussed up to keep him from escaping. Midas immediately recognized Silenus, right-hand satyr to the god Dionysus, and ordered him set free. Silenus explained that he and his master had just returned from the east, where they had been engaged in spreading the cultivation of the grape. Dionysus had brought back a tiger or two, an ever-expanding flock of followers, and one very drunken satyr. Silenus had conked out in Midas' vineyard to sleep it off. Now he was grateful to the king for treating him with dignity, and so was Dionysus. The god was so pleased, in fact, that he offered to grant whatever Midas should wish for. Now, you didn't get to rule a kingdom in those days without a pretty active grasp of what makes for a successful economy. Midas didn't have to think twice. As the simplest plan for the constant replenishment of the royal treasury, he asked that everything he touched be turned to gold. Arching a godly eyebrow, Dionysus went so far as to ask if Midas were sure. To which the king instantly replied, "Sure, I'm sure." So Dionysus waved his pine branch scepter and conferred the boon. And Midas rushed back home to try it out. Tentatively at first, he laid a trembling fingertip upon a bowl of fruit, and then a stool, and then a woolly lambkin. And when each of these had been transmuted in a trice into purest gold, the king began to caper like the lambkin before its transformation. "Just look at this," he crowed, turning his chariot into a glittering mass of priceless, though worthless, transportation. "Look what Daddy can do," he cried, taking his young daughter by the hand to lead her into the garden for a lesson in making dewy nature gleam with a monotonous but more valuable sheen. Encountering unexpected resistance, he swung about to see why his daughter was being such a slug, whereupon his eyes encountered, where late his child had been, a life-size golden statue that might have been entitled, "Innocence Surprised." "Uh-oh," said Midas, and from that point on the uh-ohs multiplied. He couldn't touch any useful object without it losing in utility what it gained in monetary value, nor any food without it shedding all nutritional potency on its leaden way down his gullet. In short, Midas came to understand why Dionysus had looked askance.
You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
Well, good evening. Welcome to Outside the Box here on Sunday night. criticalmassradio.co.uk. So there. Anyway, yeah, it's wow, been an interesting couple of days, huh? Got like that solstice action going on last night, and wow, where do I begin? All right. Well, yeah, this is a good one. I love this one. Where was it? From The Witness. I love this. Hope Kate's fired up tonight. Understatement. Yeah, well, we're going to start with an essay. And I'm going to start handing back all this fucking garbage that people keep wanting to throw in my universe. Does the term Atlantean meat stick mean anything to you? Or how about spiritually ensnared due to their own fucking morbidity, immorality, and idiocy? That kind of works. Yeah. Hi, Kate. I'm awakened. I'm going to play a physical game, though. Oh, okay. Go back to sleep. Been there. Done that. Gave the flannels back. Thanks. Anyway, I'm gonna start off with. I gotta. I'm gonna start with an essay here, okay, guys? Because I was actually having a hard time reeling it in when I was finishing this essay off. I read it good part of it last night. So I added a few more paragraphs to it just to kind of wrap it up to give people the concept, and maybe at some point people will actually wake up to see what's going on. Because there's a lot of us out here doing a lot of work, diligent, staying the course. I got to tell you, there's probably a lot of better things to do with one's life than this every day, but this is a job that needs to be done. I don't know about you guys, but I used to hate sitting knowing there were dishes to be done, because every minute that went past, the more dishes piled up in your mind, it just got harder and harder to do. And that's exactly what's going on here. And the longer you wait to start making moves at all, the harder it's going to be, or it's gonna have the illusion of being harder. And there's nothing I can do about that. That's your call. And hopefully the ending of this essay might be a little bit of a, fire under your asses kind of thing. And one of the joys of sitting at this table is I know I'm talking to so many people that do get it and are making the efforts and are doing the baby steps and are changing this planet on a grand scale. And for that, I am truly and eternally grateful. Thank you for doing what you came to do. We came here under contract, and it's not some mythical fucking intergalactic drama contract. It's anyway, I'll get into that shit after I finish this, okay? Because I'm just getting tired of hearing the same drivel from people that, quite frankly, ought to fucking know better, you know? So at that point, I'm going to start questioning, well, what's your real intent? What game are you playing? You know, are you coming across as, you know, legitimate? Or are you another one of these false deceivers that likes to walk around and, you know, convince everybody that you're all rainbows and butterflies, and meanwhile you got a pair of horns and a fucking pitchfork sitting there. But anyway, that's just my feeling on it. Yeah, here we go. The Midas touch by yours truly. Oh, and for anyone new that comes to this table, we deal up truth on a hardcore basis, and I always give out this warning. Well, not always, but I'm always mindful on occasion to bring it up. What you're going to learn at this table, between myself and countless others who come in and fully awakened beings that come in and start handing out real truth, permanent dishonor. All things registered are all things dead crown fiction, and all ID created off the birth certificate is pure fraud and connects you right back to the contract sealed by your parents. Yes, it was the crown owner's intent to deceive, to aid and abet us into committing a crime of self-incrimination and fraud, which left them in a very precarious honor until we unveiled this. But you, yes you, have upon you now the universal obligation to stand in or deny truth. Oh, don't worry. The universal laws will be keeping you in line voluntarily or not. These are the immutable laws of creation that none can defy, and why this system was doomed upon the inception of the mere thought of it. Truth. What will it take for you to see this? Your children are already system gold by your touch, your responsibility. How many of our children have been stolen, raped, murdered, and kidnapped in full honor by the system because we give it the power of our consent? Have you had enough yet? How many more children will be stolen by your inaction and willful consent to be owned and serving this whore of Babylon? Again, don't worry, the universe is fully aware of your choices of action or inaction, and as a result of the golden rule, you will get what you wish for. That is a universal promise, and one you will fully have to live by. Such is the nature of the game here. Unfortunately, the lesser wise of us will flaunt and mock these immutable laws to their own demise, where my consciousness will simply remove them from existence regardless. I no longer see physical people where I can only see spiritual intent and consciousness, the other aspects of me. So if mine eye offends me, I pluck them from consciousness without remorse needed, where they are simply a change of mind, a change of heart, and will cease to exist in my reality at all. Such is the nature of consciousness and you, but then you might have been in a foggy sleep and forgotten this. I'm just here to remind you and all that I am all, and I choose what is allowed in my universe as I experience it. You will be hard-pressed to find anyone who isn't in the Midas default program, and even harder-pressed to find those willing to abandon it, even after they know what's really going on. The script-writing ability of the left brain will keep people writing fear scenes, and only because they're still locked in the program so deeply embedded. People may not like my approach on things, and there are many that likely hate me for pointing out the things I do to make them fully accountable to their own freely chosen and willful woes. Been there, cried the river, got over it, and moved along. A good measure of this program is evident in the overwhelming victim mentality so many are dramatizing and hate it when people call them out on their bullshit. The masses have been fully engulfed in Midas commercialism, and it's not difficult to expose their programmed greed, just like the mythological star of this allegory. It is always, it is always the easy answers that confuse people and leave them in a state of disbelief as to their own selfish naivety, but mostly due to the overwhelming nature of their responsibility as to their involvement. The sheer scope of this mind trap will leave even the strongest of us reeling in the face of it. The simple fact remains. There is a job to be done, and you, a job to be done, and you who are hearing or reading this contracted with the universe to get this job done. People like to ask me what they should do regarding this or that as it pertains to their experience, but the truth is, you already know. We are so programmed to seek acceptance from others that most won't make a move without peer approval, which only leaves them someone to blame their woes on if they do something wrong. Ego needs justifiers as a fallback and blame someone else position. The ego's lust to be right at all costs is unparalleled because its only goal is physical comfort and pleasure. It actively avoids all things that may cause pain or loss of survival comfort and will viciously lash out at anyone or anything that impinges physical satiations. In that regard, the ego that controls anyone is also very easy to manipulate with any kind of Midas carrot. That is why COINTELPRO operations like Swiss Indo, Opt, Nassara, when asked to grant the favor. Fortunately, the god was a good sport about it. He allowed Midas to wash away his magic touch in the river Pactolus, which ever after enjoyed renown for its shimmering deposits of gold. Beyond the obvious, be careful and very mindful what you wish for. There are other hidden gems that can be contained fractally within as well, specifically in the phonics hints. There is a far bigger picture being painted here, where people constantly get caught up in the actors and dramas that surround any given story, and fail to expand or contract everything as it applies to all of perceived creation. That's what a fractal is. Can you see the bigger and smaller story? The entire program of the Whore of Babylon is contained in this story, as is the trap and destruction of that trap. It is our very touch that has us constantly in contracts here with our thoughts, be they wise or ignorant, being empowered and thus made manifest. At first, Midas was already well engulfed in the illusion of external value, which predicated his encounter with the external god that granted his wish. That external god is only the mirror of the true power that Midas had within, albeit he was ignorant of that fact amidst countless others. In short, Midas was owned by his greed, and in turn his physical ego, which only serves the flesh, not the spiritual. You will be hard-pressed to find anyone that hasn't been taken in by this lure once they were old enough to understand the lie sold as value called money. Midas was already well entrenched in the system, where his choice was a given, inasmuch as that was where his head and heart was, money worship. The greatest illusion ever sold to the masses was this external green-eyed monster called money, in that once someone has money, they will have power as a result. The only one that has any power is the one that can control others through this nonsense. The one who controls the concept controls the consciousness of all who fall for this illusion. In Midas' example, it had to take the loss of his daughter for him to wake up to his greed. This is exactly the same thing that today's system is doing via the birth certificate fraud, where the seal is done at the point we affirm our mental intent contract to even touch any system paperwork. How so, you will ask? Well, once you decide in your mind to do anything and everything, you are already in contract via intent and thought. In order for anything to come into existence, the thought had to be there first, unless you can prove reality otherwise. One must choose to get one's hair cut before going out the door to get it done. Effects always follow cause, where we have been running that program backwards and wondering why we're in the mess we're in. This is the mastery of problem, reaction, solution. Plant the thought, observe the desired intent of reaction, then provide a solution to the original thought implanting to steer the game any way you want, since everyone here is at physical effect thereof mentality. The child's mind. Midas was easily controlled by his greed, so his choice of wanting to turn everything to gold based on that greed. Even when he was asked if he was sure about his choice, thought, contract, he greedily said that he was sure. This is a reactive mind, the lower ego mind in full swing and easy to control. Just imagine a child in the grocery aisle, or ILL, screaming for what it wants and totally out of control. This is the power of commercialism and its cohort, commercial law, legal fiction, Phoenician law, garbage. People have no idea of the power of words and the spells they are under in their sleepy ignorance. What is even tougher to watch is how much they will fight you for trying to wake them up from this. Unfortunately, like Midas, they will have to experience the reality of losing their most precious aspects of their lives, if need be, for their own awakening to begin. For example, take a cop who likes to abuse people physically and emotionally because they have been duped into thinking they are better than others because of some silly costume they're wearing, which only proves their intent to commit fraud daily. Most, if not all, of these types of people will never change